What you thought was solid begins to feel like sand. You realize some bonds once made cannot be unmade without breaking everything else. Now listen as the world cracks open. The door of the forbidden area slowly opened itself. The crowd looked extremely curious as Lin Feng and Meng Qing came out. Lin Feng and Meng Qing were actually holding hands. Meng Qing looked as cold and detached as before, but was allowing Lin Feng to hold her hand, and it looked very natural. They looked calm and serene. Besides, the ice around Meng Qing's body had completely disappeared. What a nice couple, thought the people in the crowd. At that moment, they all understood the nature of Lin Feng and Meng Qing's relationship. They understood why Meng Qing had gotten so furious when the old man said that he killed Lin Feng, which is why she killed the old man. Meng Qing and Duan Tian were the same. They both loved Lin Feng. He was frivolous, natural, and unrestrained. Meng Qing and Lin Feng were a couple just like Lin Feng and Duan Tian. The crowd had the impression that they also looked like a perfect couple. They were all outstanding. The crowd was well aware of Lin Feng's natural talent. They understood even more clearly how strong Meng Qing was. Thus, they thought that Lin Feng and Meng Qing was an even better couple, and it was more appropriate for them to be together. It seemed like they were soul mates. Only someone as gifted as Lin Feng could be with such an incredible girl. Zai Yi and Zai Ling were blankly staring at Lin Feng. Zai Yi lowered her head. She felt so inferior. She was a withered willow, and Meng Qing was an incredibly beautiful woman who had even broken through to the Xianxia layer, and that girl loved Lin Feng. Lin Feng only had to speak, and she obeyed his every word. Zai Yi used to think that Lin Feng would be interested in her. She felt ridiculous at that moment. She was nothing in comparison with Meng Qing and Duan Tian. She was much too ugly in comparison with these two girls. I would have never thought that Lin Feng was this powerful. Not only is he powerful with incredible natural talent, but two beautiful girls like him, whispered Zai Ling. She envied these people. However, when Duan Tian saw them holding hands, bitter feelings invaded her heart. That was the first time that she was competing with another woman. She would have never thought that such a thing could even happen. Nonetheless, she had no choice but to face the facts. Meng Qing was a pure woman. Besides, she was extremely beautiful. Such a girl was rare. Meng Qing also liked Lin Feng, and on top of that, Lin Feng was also interested in her. When Lin Feng saw Duan Tian, he smiled wryly. He felt lost. In his previous life, Lin Feng was always single in this world. There were so many outstanding girls who were interested in him. "Prepare 2 horses for me," said Lin Feng, sounding cold and detached. Immediately, someone obeyed his order and prepared 2 Kai Zai horses. "Get on a horse, we should go back," said Lin Feng to Duan Tian. She slightly nodded. She had been away for such a long time. The imperial family was probably worried about her. When Duan Tian arrived next to her horse, she immediately jumped onto its back. Even though she was a delicate woman, she was trained in riding. "Meng Qing, let's get on a horse too," said Lin Feng to Meng Qing, who slightly nodded. She jumped up in the air and landed on the other horse. When she landed, Lin Feng jumped up as well and landed on Meng Qing's horse right behind her. He put his arms around her waist and grabbed the reins. Meng Qing shivered. "This guy?" "Let's go," said Lin Feng while urging the horse. The horses neighed and they left at full speed. Because the horse was galloping at full speed, Meng Qing's body was inclining backwards and leaning against Lin Feng's chest. 2 people on one horse were galloping through the mountains. "Protect the princess," said Lin Feng to the Celestial Sword unit as an order. She was immediately surrounded by guards. "Princess?" The crowd was looking at the people gradually leaving. They felt like they were suffocating, that Duan Tian was surprisingly a real princess, the princess of Zhu Yue. Who was Lin Feng? Surprisingly, the Kai Zai troops listened to him, and then the princess and Meng Qing liked him. On an ancient road, the Kai Zai horses were galloping at full speed, and a cloud of dust was surrounding them. On a horse, there were 2 silhouettes pressed tightly together. There was a beautiful girl who looked like a celestial being, and the other was a handsome young man who looked frivolous. Their hair fluttered in the wind as they rode. Fine horses, beautiful people, a vast ancient road, a young man and woman. The scene looked picturesque, just like a painting. Meng Qing was calmly leaning against Lin Feng's chest. They weren't speaking. They were just enjoying the tranquility and serenity of the moment. It truly felt like a dream. Even if the ancient had no end, it would be wonderful to stay like this. As Lin Feng approached the Duan Ren border, he was using his earth fusion, and his senses were sharp and acute. He could feel that someone was hiding in the mountains and staring at him. He slowly stopped the horse, looked towards the Duan Ren border, and shouted, "Lin Feng under the Celestial Sword Kai Zai Battalion." The Duan Ren border was completely silent. There no voice or sound. The entire mountain range was drowned in absolute silence, but Lin Feng knew that the situation was dangerous. "Kai Zai troops, move towards the Duan Ren border," shouted Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't know who was in Duan Ren border. Immediately after, the Kai Zai troops galloped forwards. A short moment after, Lin Feng frowned. He heard some whistling sounds in the air and then saw many arrows flying through the air, moving straight towards him. He raised his hand, sword light spread in the air, and the arrows which were moving towards him all broke. The Kai Zai horse was moving forwards again. However, the sound of the arrows didn't stop. It turned into a rain of arrows which landed in front of him as if they were trying to prevent him from moving further. "Meng Qing, kill them," said Lin Feng, sounding cold and expressionless. He had only just arrived, and some people were already unscrupulously attacking him. They wanted to kill him, that wasn't an illusion. When Lin Feng finished talking, he jumped into the air. His body was floating in the sky above the valley as he rushed towards the cliffs. Meng Qing also jumped up in the air, and like a celestial being, she moved towards the Duan Ren border as well. In a flash, Lin Feng arrived on a gigantic stone. There were some troops continuing to shoot arrows, but the moment when they saw Lin Feng, their hands paused for a second and they stopped firing arrows. As expected, these are Zhu Yue soldiers. When Lin Feng saw the armor the enemies were wearing, a cold and indifferent expression appeared on his face. Meng Qing had already told Lin Feng about the battle. Many people had been injured and had died, but finally, because they were in Zhu Yue and cut off from reinforcements, the Mo Yue troops retreated. The Duan Ren border had remained under the control of Zhu Yue. At that moment, these soldiers were shooting at Lin Feng since he had arrived in the Duan Ren border. They wanted to kill him. "Who are you? Whose orders do you obey?" asked Lin Feng coldly and detached. Cold chi was surrounding his body. The soldier remained silent and released an arrow straight towards Lin Feng. "Die," said Lin Feng coldly. He raised his hand and a cold brilliance illuminated the atmosphere and pierced the soldier. The soldier was astonished and slowly fell dead onto the ground. After killing that soldier, Lin Feng continued. He used the earth fusion and could see every single person who was hiding in the mountains. None of them could escape from his senses. At that moment, Lin Feng had appeared in front of another soldier of Zhu Yue and asked, "Whose orders are you obeying?" The soldier remained silent. "Die," said Lin Feng heartlessly. He raised his hand again. In a flash, another one had been killed by Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't care for their silence. The Duan Ren border was huge. There would probably be one person who would speak. Lin Feng didn't stop moving. The Duan Ren border was turning into a river of blood. Lin Feng wasn't the only one massacring people at that moment. Meng Qing was doing the same. If Lin Feng told her to kill, she killed. Lin Feng forgot that he was in a territory of the Zhu Yue country. Even though this was the border defense against Mo Zhu, he didn't stop killing. After having gone through war, he had become much stronger and his heart was now forged in battle. If anyone wanted to kill him, Lin Feng would not show mercy. He had fought for Zhu Yue, but what had Zhu Yue ever done for him? What had they done for Liu Kanglan? The princess had been kidnapped. The troops had fought each other. The Mo Yue troops had come in to massacre them, and hundreds of thousands of troops had been massacred. There was a conspiracy to kill him. If Zhu Yue didn't care about him, did Lin Feng need to care about Zhu Yue? Lin Feng was an extraordinary person, and he felt no sense of belonging towards the Zhu Yue country. If Zhu Yue wanted to kill him, he would raise his sword against Zhu Yue. During an undetermined period of time, blood kept flowing from the mountains of the Duan Ren border. It looked like there were blood lakes running through the mountains. Lin Feng and Meng Qing returned onto the main road. Cold chi surrounded their bodies. They had killed all the soldiers who were hiding in the mountain. Back then, Liu Kanglan had been in Duan Ren City protecting the valley. Lin Feng would have never thought that one day he would personally use his sword in the Duan Ren border to kill Zhu Yue soldiers. The Celestial Sword Battalion had arrived in the valley of the Duan Ren border. There were many corpses in front of them. They were all wearing the armor of Zhu Yue. "The road was being blocked. We killed them all," said Lin Feng to the Kai Zai unit, sounding cold and detached. He had noticed that they were surprised by the scene. "Now, come with me, let's head out at our maximum speed." Then Lin Feng and Meng Qing rushed through the air as their horse moved at an incredible speed. The people behind them remained silent and started galloping, closely following Lin Feng. After the Duan Ren border, there was Duan Ren City. At that moment, Duan Ren City looked apocalyptic. There was only ash filling the air. The entire city was destroyed by the fire. Above the gigantic city gate, there were some Zhu Yue soldiers, and they opened the gate. Lin Feng hadn't said anything. He had immediately moved towards the city gate and entered the city. Nobody tried to stop him either. The Kai Zai unit galloped towards the city, but after they entered the city, the gate started closing itself. In front of Lin Feng, there were some soldiers who were slowly moving towards him. A sharp and majestic qi was being released from their bodies. They were all on horses while staring at Lin Feng. It seemed like they had been waiting for Lin Feng to come back. From their horsebacks, they grabbed their bows and raised them into the air. Lin Feng and Meng Qing could feel a deadly qi invading the atmosphere and oppressing them. "Stop, or we will shoot," shouted an ice-cold voice. But Lin Feng completely ignored them and continued to move forward on his horse. The one who had just shouted was surprised. He raised his hand with his bow, narrowed his eyes, and a devilish, ice-cold expression appeared on his face. "Die!" He lowered his hand and pulled the bowstring. At that moment, an arrow whistled through the air, moving straight towards Lin Feng and Meng Qing. Boom! The arrow hit the horse with a piercing blow. That arrow surprisingly had such brutal strength. Amongst these people, none of them were weak. They had all broken through to a high Ling Qi layer. They were all elite soldiers. The Kai Zai horse collapsed, dead from the first arrow. The first arrow wasn't intended for Lin Feng, but for the horse. After that first arrow, he put another one in his bow, but this one was for Lin Feng. This one was supposed to kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng and Meng Qing jumped into the air together and floated above the ground. They then immediately threw themselves at the crowd, ignoring the arrows. "Freeze!" whispered Meng Qing in her snow-white clothes. Ice spread through the atmosphere at that moment. All the arrows that were moving towards her immediately froze and emitted small cracking sounds. They were frozen in place. Besides, Lin Feng was at Meng Qing's side, and a resplendent purple cloud emerged from his back. That purple cloud transformed into a silhouette. It was an insane 100-meter-high silhouette. It was in the shape of the purple dragon. That illusion, surprisingly, was the gigantic purple dragon. It was unceasingly flying higher and higher. It then looked at the crowd from above. That terrifying dragon made the facial expressions of the Zhu Yue soldiers change drastically. They were all looking at the purple dragon in the air. They started shaking and their hearts started pounding. Their hearts were being overcome with extreme fear. That illusion was Lin Feng's spirit after it had swallowed the entire purple lake filled with dragon blood. Even though Lin Feng's spirit had, after that, swallowed Meng Qing's ice qi, his spirit still hadn't changed. It was still the extremely powerful purple spirit. Concerning the monstrous dragon illusion, amusingly, it was extremely similar to the purple dragon image which the cultivator was riding. The purple liquid of the lake was the blood of the purple dragon. Lin Feng's snake and the dragon from the forbidden area were in perfect harmony. Ruwar! The gigantic dragon illusion roared and started to attack. An endless purple lake of blood gushed from the dragon's mouth. Immediately after, the lake melted everything in its path like acid, including the arrows. Blotting out the sky, the purple lake immediately moved to block the path of the retreating Zhu Yue soldiers. Immediately after, endless fear invaded their hearts and faces. Their cold killing intent had already disappeared. How could that be possible? How could Lin Feng have become so strong? They received the information that Lin Feng had broken through to the 6th Ling Qi layer. All of these cultivators had broken through to the 7th Ling Qi layer and were supposed to be able to kill Lin Feng. If Lin Feng came back alive, Duan Ren City was supposed to be the place where he would be buried. But Lin Feng had become so strong, everybody was dumbstruck. Their facial expressions indicated that they regretted everything. Killing Lin Feng wasn't a duty that they could fulfill. The purple lake was rushing through the sky and blotted out the sun. It then immediately crashed down onto the Zhu Yue soldiers. Immediately after, their bodies started to slowly melt as if they had come into contact with acid. In a flash, 100 cultivators had all been melted into a puddle. Melt, being able to make things melt, was definitely a monstrous ability. Originally, the blood and saliva of the dragon could melt even a powerful cultivator to nothing but bones. Because Lin Feng and Duan Xin Yi had inherited a blood spirit, only their clothes melted when coming into contact with the dragon blood. After that, the purple liquid penetrated into their bodies, altering their original spirits. It had given them additional strength. Besides, when Lin Feng's snake's spirit drank all the liquid of the purple lake, it had given Lin Feng's spirit the same powers as the purple dragon. When the Celestial Sword Battalion saw Lin Feng, who looked like a god, they were absolutely dumbstruck. Their heartbeats accelerated. Strong, Lin Feng had become much stronger. All of them had survived the war, they had gained lots of experience on the battlefield and had all become much stronger. But Lin Feng had become terrifying. There were larger groups of soldiers riding their horses in their direction, coming to kill Lin Feng, but when they saw that sight, they had all stopped. They were looking at the dragon in the air, and under Lin Feng's feet was a gigantic purple lake which seemed to be under his control, and it was moving straight towards them. While the lake moved towards these soldiers, Lin Feng slowly turned around and looked at another large group rushing towards him. They were obviously Zhu Yue soldiers, and Lin Feng knew that they were all here to kill him. When they saw Lin Feng's expression, their hearts started to race. Coldness invaded their hearts, which sent a shiver down their spines. "We have received a mission to kill you, but you can leave," said one soldier to Lin Feng. Immediately after, they turned around to leave. "If they want to kill, they kill. If they are too weak, they leave." "How ridiculous," said Lin Feng coldly. They had all received orders, but since their lives were in danger, they disobeyed the orders and left. What kind of discipline was that? "Meng Qing, sorry to bother you. Please confiscate all these horses for us," said Lin Feng while turning to look at Meng Qing. Their horse was killed by an arrow. It was a bit inconvenient for him to attack because he always melted the people and their horses at the same time. "All right," said Meng Qing while nodding. She moved in the air and released some ice chi, making the hearts of these Zhu Yue soldiers pound. How cold! Apart from Lin Feng, there was another strong cultivator, a cultivator of the Xu and Qi layer. In other words, even if Lin Feng wasn't this strong, they would all still die. Wanting to kill Lin Feng under such circumstances sounded like a joke. They were all terrified. They had received orders and had to bear the consequences of their actions. "Ice!" Meng Qing raised her hand. Ice emerged. The crowd was shaking. Immediately after, the ice spread. It moved forward and spread through the atmosphere. Everybody was frozen like a statue. Immediately after, they collapsed from their horsebacks and died. "Get on the horses, hurry," said Lin Feng calmly. He recalled his spirit back into his body and ran immediately after jumping on a horse. Meng Qing also jumped on the horse. "Lin Feng, what's going on?" asked Duan Tian Lang when she saw Lin Feng's actions. "Some people want us dead. They don't want us going back to the Imperial City," said Lin Feng while looking at Duan Tian Lang. "What about me? Do they want to kill me too?" "Yes," said Lin Feng while nodding. Duan Tian Lang's heart was pounding. They even wanted to kill the princess. "Hundreds of thousands of soldiers have died. The princess disappeared. Even though we won the war, in the end, they want to sentence Liu Kanglan to death. Because even though we won the war, it was still a tragic victory. Besides, we haven't managed to protect the princess who was kidnapped by Mo Yue. Therefore, they will be able to sentence him to death. They also want to kill me. I cannot go back to the Imperial City. But if you appear in the Imperial City, they will be unable to sentence me to death." When Duan Tian Lang heard Lin Feng's words, her heart started pounding and she felt very cold. Because they wanted to sentence Liu Kanglan to death, they also wanted to kill the princess. Could it be as easy as that? Or maybe that they just didn't only want to kill Liu Kanglan, they had also sacrificed her. The princess perfectly understood who was at the origin of all of this. What Duan Tian Lang didn't understand was why she was kidnapped. Besides, why did Zhu Yue and Mo Yue seem to be working together? If it had really originated from the person, she thought, why did they have to kidnap her? Why didn't they just kill her on the spot? The person she was thinking about was her brother, the crown prince, Duan Wudao. He was extremely aggressive, brutal, and obeyed no principles and lived with no morals. Duan Wuya, the second prince, and her were very close, but she wasn't close to the crown prince at all. Therefore, because she had disobeyed Duan Wudao, she had to die. Outside of the Imperial City, the scene looked like a seething cauldron of hatred. It was just as lively and crowded inside as before. At that moment, many people were moving towards the gate which separated the exterior and the interior of the Imperial City. At that moment outside of the Imperial City, behind the moat surrounding the city, a thick and dense deadly qi filled the atmosphere and enveloped the entire area. The people and horses behind the river were all wearing the same armor. All the horses were Kai Zai horses. They were surrounding the Imperial City. At that moment, the troops had surprisingly encircled the Imperial City. There were several tens of thousands of soldiers. As far as the eyes could see, there were soldiers. It was a vast and boundless sea of soldiers who were all releasing an extremely strong qi. A group of people was approaching the Imperial City and saw this army of soldiers. All sorts of comments were spreading through the crowd. They are Kaizai troops. I wouldn't have thought that the strong armored cavalry would encircle the city. But when facing the Imperial City of billions, a few tens of thousands is nothing. It's a mere joke. They will not be able to do anything. Some people noticed that the troops who were surrounding the Imperial City were all wearing red armor. This armor was the symbol of the border troops, the Kaizai troops, Liu Kang Lan's troops. That is the impermanence of life. Could it be that Liu Kang Lan, the divine arrow, will be executed in front of everybody? Said someone while sighing. The fact that the Zhu Yue country wanted to kill Liu Kang wasn't a secret anymore. It was said that Liu Kang Lan hadn't been able to protect the country against the army of Mo Yue, and that he also had a bad influence, creating chaos amongst the troops. It was also said that he had wanted to prevent Duan Tian Lang's troops from engaging the enemy, and thus gave an opportunity for Mo Yue to strike and kill hundreds of thousands of troops. Besides, the princess had been kidnapped by Mo Yue, and nobody knew if she was dead or alive. Only Lin Feng rushed to save her. However, the truth was that Liu Kang Lan went with Lin Feng's plan. They massacred hundreds of thousands from the Mo Yue army by making them enter Duan Ren City and burning them. That was an excellent plan. Lin Feng was considered to be dead. He traveled over a huge distance within the Mo Yue country and had relied on his own strength to kill the people who had kidnapped the princess. At that moment, he and the princess were missing. They were probably dead or possibly in a critical situation. During that war, the nickname, the Divine Arrow, had lost its significance, while Lin Feng had probably met his death. What a pity, he was a strong and powerful young man. He was probably already dead at that moment. The crowd looked at the sky. The sunlight was dazzling to the eyes. There were a few more hours to wait before Liu Kang Lan's execution. At that moment, the Imperial City gate was firmly closed. Nobody could enter the city, and they were all there because they wanted to witness Liu Kang Lan's execution. At that moment, the troops got agitated. Immediately after, the crowd saw them jump onto their horsebacks and grab the bows from their backs. It's an armed rebellion. For Liu Kang Lan's sake, the Kaizai troops surprisingly want to attack the Imperial City. The crowd was astonished. Such a small number of troops wanted to attack the Imperial City. They would certainly die if those troops attacked. The guards of the Imperial City wouldn't just watch without reacting. A few tens of thousands of soldiers attacking, that was just suicide, nothing more. It would lead to nothing good. As expected, a high-ranking soldier saw these troops move and laughed coldly. That high-ranking soldier was called Meng Qing. He was an officer and had an illustrious reputation. He perfectly understood what he had to do when facing a rebellion. He could easily dispose of them. Besides, he would be able to let his son distinguish himself in action and settle this problem himself. On Meng Qing's side, there was a young man. That young man was wearing armor. He looked majestic and domineering. He was extraordinarily handsome. If Lin Feng had been there, he would certainly have recognized him, Meng Qing. The one whose cultivation had been crippled by Lin Feng in the past, he was Meng Qing's son. Meng Qing, I will let you give the order. What do you think? Meng Qing was smiling, which made Meng Qing happy. Meng Qing was enabling his son to distinguish himself in action, which would allow him to move up in rank much quicker. He could only be happy about this. All right, said Meng Qing while smiling. He then moved to the edge, still standing above the Imperial City gate, and raised his hand. An incredible number of Zhu Yue guards raised their bows ready to shoot at the army outside. While standing there, Meng Qing felt powerful. He could decide everything, and could even wipe out a small army with a single command. Lin Feng, what a pity that you are already dead, otherwise I would order you to be killed. Meng Qing felt pride once again invade his heart. He felt truly powerful. Lin Feng had crippled his cultivation and humiliated him, but at that moment, he had all the power. Meng Qing could order him to be killed. He couldn't practice cultivation anymore, but it didn't matter. He just had to raise his hand and let the army fight for him. Deadly qi spread above the gate of the Imperial City. The soldiers outside the city gate felt resigned to meet their end here. They clearly understood that if they fought, they would die here. This battle is for nothing else but justice, shouted Ren Qing Quang, standing at the front of the troops while looking up at the people above the city gate. They had fought and lost troops for their country, Zhu Yue, but how was Zhu Yue treating them? How was that fair? Justice, does it even exist? Shouted the troops furiously. The ground was shaking, and their hearts were shaking along with it. These people were going to sacrifice themselves for the sake of justice. Meng Qing and his father above the city gate were smiling coldly. Justice is strength, and influence is our justice. How could real justice exist in this world? Said Meng Qing while smiling evilly. After Lin Feng crippled Meng Qing's cultivation, Meng Qing's heart had grown even more evil. Brothers, this is our last battle. We are all here to fight together, officers and soldiers. We shall have no regrets. Ren Qingquang on his horse looked frivolous. At that moment, even though he was going to die, he stuck to his principles. The sound of arrows entering bows filled the air and deadly energy spread through the atmosphere. Ready? Meng Qing, from the top of the city wall, raised his hand to inform the troops to aim. The evil smile on his face was getting even more exaggerated. Right after that, he slowly moved to hide himself from any of the fighting. Ren Qingquang had also raised his hand outside the walls. A gentle breeze floated in the air, making his hair flutter in the wind. At that moment, that frivolous man wasn't wearing his helmet. His lips were firm, his muscles were tense. Slowly, he just had to move his hand, and the death bell would sound. The sound of horses spread across the horizon, but nobody paid attention to the sound. The whole crowd was only looking at the armies inside and outside of the Imperial City. Stop! Ren Qingquang lowered his hand. The troops were ready to fire their bows at any time. The sound of galloping horses filled the air, and the ground started to shake. The sound spread like waves across the armies. They were galloping at full speed towards the city. The sound led to everybody stopping what they were doing. "Stop, officer, it's me," shouted Lin Feng. It looked like his horse was flying through the air. The entire army divided into two and cleared a path while looking at the silhouettes that had just arrived. When Ren Qingquang heard this voice, he was stupefied. He narrowed his eyes. It was Lin Feng's voice. "Everybody stop," said Ren Qingquang. All the troops were stupefied. Why were they stopping their attack? Who was that? Of course that Ren Qingquang wanted them to stop. If they attacked, they would be considered as armed rebels, and the guards on the city wall would have a reason to kill them. But if they didn't attack at all, and that the Zhu Yue troops attacked them first, they would have a reason to strike back. Initially, he was resigned to die, but Lin Feng had arrived before he attacked the city. Lin Feng was thought to be dead, and Liu Kanglan was a criminal. Only Lin Feng could make the situation change at that moment. Ren Qingquang turned around, looked at Lin Feng and the others in the distance, and smiled. His heart was beating very fast. "Lin Feng!" When the troops heard Ren Qingquang's words, they were all stupefied. The Zhu Yue country had played a decisive role in making Lin Feng into a hero. Lin Feng was a true hero in their hearts. Lin Feng had obtained a lieutenant status with the Celestial Sword Battalion for killing the Black Guards of Mo Yue. With his strength, he had managed to change the tide of the war. At that moment, Lin Feng was appearing again. "Lin Feng!" On the city wall, Meng Qing also saw that silhouette. He suddenly looked hideous and evil. The sound of the galloping horses was approaching. On the top of the city gate, the troops didn't shoot their arrows and slowly put their bows down while looking at the silhouettes who were arriving. "Ren Qingquang!" shouted Lin Feng. He then jumped off the horse and glanced at the troops. "Everybody, don't attack," said Lin Feng. He obviously understood that if they attacked, there would be no way back. If they attacked the Imperial City, they would be considered as rebels and would inevitably be executed. Those who worked behind the curtains didn't care about the lives of all these soldiers. All they cared about were their own personal interests. "Lin Feng, quickly. Liu Kanglan doesn't have much time left," said Ren Qingquang, looking anxious. Lin Feng slightly nodded. He had precisely hurried because of that reason. He had been galloping all night, rushing over to the Imperial City. He knew that he couldn't afford to be slow. Lin Feng looked at the people on the top of the city wall and shouted, "Lin Feng is returning to the Imperial City. Open the gate." Lin Feng knew how Zhu Yue wanted to dispose of him. On the one hand, they wanted to kill him, but on the other hand, they needed him to die at the border without witnesses. At that moment, at the very periphery of the Imperial City, the whole crowd was watching the scene unfold. If they killed him, they would be forced to show their real intentions. As expected, when the troops heard Lin Feng's name, they were all startled. They slowly lowered their bows, which made Meng Qing furious. An ice-cold expression appeared on his face. He was fixedly staring at Lin Feng. "Lin Feng," whispered Meng Qing. He then said with a cold tone, "Lin Feng was kidnapped by Mo Yue. If he was here today, it is probably because he has become a rebel and is now working with them. He cannot enter the Imperial City. Besides, there are these rebels as well. Surprisingly, they dare to surround the Imperial City, getting ready to attack us with their arrows. We must kill them, get ready to attack. Huh, Lin Feng frowned. Attack. Rebels, how shameless. Lin Feng wasn't the only one who was surprised. The troops on the top of the city gate were also surprised, including Meng Qing, but orders had to be obeyed. Thus the troops raised their bows again, getting ready to fire. Would you dare? At that moment, Duan Tian Lang was also beside Lin Feng on a horse. The crowd was astonished. It was the princess, Her Highness. Meng Qing was also astonished. His lips were shaking. Meng Qing used to hope he could marry the princess someday, but then Lin Feng crippled his cultivation. He had become a piece of trash and would never be able to marry Duan Tian Lang. Besides, he understood why the troops outside the city gate wanted to fight. When he thought about that, a hideous expression appeared on his face. "Fire!" shouted Meng Qing while waving his hand. He looked extremely cruel. When Meng Qing finished talking, Meng Qing, who was behind Meng Qing, went pale. "Don't shoot!" shouted Meng Qing furiously. Even though he wanted to kill Princess Duan Tian Lang and Lin Feng, at that moment they had already returned safely to the Imperial City. They couldn't brazenly kill them anymore. That would cause a great deal of trouble. If Meng Qing killed Lin Feng and Duan Tian Lang, that would have made some people of the imperial family happy and some others unhappy. Lin Feng wouldn't be too much of an issue, but the emperor's daughter. Who would bear the responsibility for killing her? These thoughts were logical and were common sense, but Meng Qing's heart was filled with hatred and jealousy, which is why he wanted to attack. PSHHH. PSHHHH? A few arrows whistled through the air. Lin Feng's facial expression was ice cold. He jumped up in the air, his hand transformed into a sword, and he immediately cut the arrows down. "You want to kill the princess? How audacious! These rebels must die," said Lin Feng while smiling coldly. He immediately rushed towards the city gate at incredible speed. At the same time, Ren Qingquang and Meng Qing were also rushing towards the city gate. PSSHHHH? Lin Feng's hand pierced through the atmosphere. Immediately, those who had shot their arrows were killed. They hadn't even had time to react. The soldiers who hadn't shot when they had heard Meng Qing were shocked. Lin Feng and the others had easily landed on the gate tower. "A moment ago, you're the one who gave the order to shoot. You wanted to kill the princess," said Lin Feng in an ice-cold tone to Meng Qing. This guy again. When Meng Qing saw Lin Feng's facial expression, he started shaking. He had thought that if he saw Lin Feng again, he would prestigiously be able to order the troops to kill him. But at that moment, Lin Feng had easily appeared before him. One glance had been enough to destroy his enthusiasm. The only feeling left in his heart was dread. He was really scared of Lin Feng. The last time in the lovesick forest, Lin Feng had been merciless and crippled his cultivation, not letting him escape. He was slowly moving back. Lin Feng's eyes surprisingly sufficed to scare him into a retreat. Meng Qing took a step forwards and looked at the young man in front of him. It was the first time that he met Lin Feng, but many people knew about Lin Feng. Meng Qing obviously knew that Lin Feng had crippled his son's cultivation, making him a piece of trash. Meng Qing didn't do it on purpose. He didn't know that the princess was there. "I will personally make him apologize to the princess." Meng Qing was protecting his son. He hated Lin Feng. He needed to restore peace and remove himself from this event. Unintentionally, he didn't know. Lin Feng was smiling coldly. A moment ago, the princess was still shouting from her horseback. Everybody saw that with their own eyes, but Meng Qing still gave the order to shoot, attempting to murder the princess. Meng Qing must die. Meng Qing didn't see the princess. Meng Qing's cheeks were burning. Lin Feng didn't have time to talk nonsense. He moved forwards while releasing his killing intent. How could he not kill Meng Qing? On the top of the gate, some silhouettes flickered. They all moved in front of Meng Qing. They only saw Lin Feng smile coldly, who then said, "Meng Qing wants to kill the princess. He has been sentenced to death. Those who want to protect him are his accomplices and must die. I, Lin Feng, am the princess' personal guard. My job is to protect her. I will kill anyone who threatens her life, no matter who it is," said Lin Feng aggressively. He would kill anyone who attacked the princess, no matter what their status. The crowd clearly heard what Lin Feng had said. What a frivolous young man. Anyone who would threaten the princess would be killed. "Try if you dare," said Meng Qing, whose face turned pale. No matter what Meng Qing did, he was his son, was within his territory and his control. Lin Feng was only the princess' personal guard. How could he not get furious after being ignored? "When I say that I will kill, I kill. No matter who is in my way," said Lin Feng, sounding extremely domineering. He then took a step, and an insane purple hurricane emerged in the atmosphere. A silhouette flickered and moved straight towards Lin Feng to attack him. Lin Feng just raised his hand at an incredible speed, and his had already pierced through that person's heart. The soldiers, when they saw that, started shaking in fear. Nobody dared to risk their lives in front of that purple hurricane. In a flash, purple tentacles appeared from the silhouette. Its deadly strength started to move forward. Everybody was pushed back, including Meng Qing. The purple cloud contained a corrosive power, too. When people touched it, they felt like if they stayed in contact with it, they would melt. Lin Feng's silhouette flickered and rushed towards Meng Qing. Lin Feng was as fast as lightning, therefore, nobody had time to react. Lin Feng grabbed Meng Qing by the neck using only one hand, and then directly moved to the edge of the city gate. Meng Qing's body was hanging over the edge. Lin Feng just had to let go, and Meng Qing would fall to his death. At that moment, Meng Qing's face looked deathly pale. There wasn't the slightest degree of color in his face, only fear. "Lin Feng, don't you dare!" Meng Qing had also turned deathly pale and furiously shouted these words, but he only saw that a smile had appeared on Lin Feng's face. "Kaizai troops, hear me!" shouted Lin Feng. At that moment, the army outside in front of the gate of the Imperial City all said in unison, "Roger!" Their voices spread through the atmosphere. At that moment, Lin Feng looked like a great commander, majestic and imposing. Everybody obeyed him. He could light the fire within the hearts of his soldiers. These soldiers were once again feeling full of vitality. "Prepare your arrows," shouted Lin Feng. At that moment, all the troops out of the Imperial City raised their bows. Both sides had their bows raised. Meng Qing gave the order to kill the princess. "This is a capital offense. He must be killed," shouted Lin Feng furiously. At that moment, he let go of Meng Qing, whose body slowly fell from the top of the gate. PSSSHHH, PSSHHHH. Thousands of arrows pierced through the air. Meng Qing gave a horrible shriek, and his life was put to an end. Suddenly, a red liquid started flowing down the city walls. All these arrows had pierced through his body, which pinned against the city wall. His corpse was hanging from the city walls by thousands of arrows. At that moment, everybody was speechless. How ruthless and powerful. That is how Lin Feng had gained such an illustrious reputation. It seemed like he was at the apex of his power. Meng Qing's body had been pinned onto the city wall by thousands of arrows. The crowd was dumbstruck. The ones above the city wall, even though they couldn't see it, could imagine what happened. They had all seen the cloud of arrows a moment before. Besides, the soldiers outside of the Imperial City were punishing him because he had tried to kill the princess. The reason was absolutely valid, so nobody said anything. After all, Meng Qing had given the order to kill the princess. Everyone witnessed that. Meng Qing was shaking. His eyes were wide open. He was dumbstruck. "Meng Qing!" shouted Meng Qing extremely loudly. He then moved towards the edge of the gate and looked down. In a flash, his face turned red. That was his son, pinned onto the city wall with so many arrows, his little boy. "Ag, Lin Feng!" shouted Meng Qing furiously. He turned around and looked at Lin Feng with killing intent. "You killed my son!" Meng Qing sounded like he couldn't believe it and was fixedly staring at Lin Feng. "Please open the gate. The princess and I are in a hurry," said Lin Feng, sounding indifferent. He looked particularly calm. "Open the gate," said Meng Qing with a hideous grin on his face. He then said evilly, "Lin Feng, you broke into the Imperial City, killed my son in spite of my higher military rank, and have no respect for the hierarchy of Zhu Yue." "Huh!" Lin Feng was surprised, but smiled coldly immediately after. Meng Qing was trying to accuse Lin Feng. What an old fox! Even though he was furious and enraged, he still remained sober-headed and declared Lin Feng's faults, which would make it much easier to attack Lin Feng after. Officer Meng Qing tried to kill the princess. Everybody saw it. He had to be killed for his own actions. Everybody thinks that what I did was the right thing to do. Besides, I will say it once more, Officer, the princess and I have to handle important matters and are in a hurry, so open the gate and let us into the Imperial City. Lin Feng's voice was filled with coldness. His words were sharp and poignant. "Handle important matters? You think that you can save Liu Kanglan?" said Meng Qing while staring at Lin Feng and smiling evilly. He then added 3 words, "In your dreams." Boom! Meng Qing had just finished his sentence when an ice-cold, deadly energy emerged from Lin Feng's body. Meng Qing was surprised and said, "What are you doing?" Lin Feng remained silent. His silhouette flickered and his hand turned into a sharp sword which pierced through the atmosphere. Meng Qing let out a horrible shriek. Meng Feng had tried to block Lin Feng's attack with his forearms. However, Lin Feng proceeded to cut off his arms with his attack. That attack astonished the crowd once again. Meng Feng's troops a moment before had wanted to attack Lin Feng, but Ren Qing and Meng Qing were there, preventing them from moving forward. They could only calmly watch the scene. Meng Qing wanted to kill the princess. I had to protect the princess and kill Meng Qing, which is why Meng Feng has a personal grudge with me. Besides, he continues to refuse the princess entry into the Imperial City and doesn't respect the hierarchy of the Zuyue country. I, Lin Feng, will kill anyone who represents a threat to the security of the princess. Lin Feng was standing there with his hair was fluttering in the wind. His voice was resonating across the horizon. People's hearts were pounding. Not only had Lin Feng killed Meng Qing, but he also wanted to kill Meng Feng. He would kill anyone in his way. When he finished talking, Lin Feng took a step and punched Meng Feng. Immediately after, Meng Feng's face turned deathly pale. Blood started gushing from his mouth, but he was still evilly staring at Lin Feng. Meng Feng had also broken through to the 8th Ling Qi layer, just like Lin Feng, but Lin Feng knew about earth fusion, which made him much quicker. Meng Feng, a moment before, had been too negligent, and his arms had been cut off. You are the only person responsible for the path you chose. There was an incredible sword energy which emerged from Lin Feng's hand and immediately penetrated into Meng Feng's body, and then crushed his vital organs. With a flip of his hand, Lin Feng sent Meng Feng flying over the edge of the city walls. The troops outside of the Imperial City released their arrows which whistled through the air, and Officer Meng Feng joined his son, pinned to the city wall, lifeless. Lin Feng punished them both as criminals. In the world of cultivation, strength was the only thing that mattered. Strength was justice. Lin Feng turned around and looked at the troops. Finally, he saw someone who had the armor of an officer. "Are you the non-commissioned officer?" coldly asked Lin Feng. That person's heart was pounding. He had personally witnessed Meng Qing and Meng Feng's deaths. They had suffered a cruel fate. It was like the widespread rumors about the crown prince. Whoever dared to contradict him died. "Indeed," said that person while nodding nervously. "The princess and I need to go into the Imperial City. We have things to do. Quickly open the gate," said Lin Feng calmly. That person was stupefied and remained silent. "I will give you 5 seconds to think carefully about your next actions. If you don't let the princess in, you are committing an offense against the Zuyue Imperial clan," said Lin Feng in a cold tone. He then immediately started counting. 1, 2, open the gate. The non-commissioned officer's facial expression was rigid. How could he even give Lin Feng time to start the countdown? That guy had killed Meng Qing and his father. Lin Feng wouldn't hesitate to kill him too. No matter how the situation would be, the most important thing was to survive. The future problems had to be ignored. "Open the gate, open the gate," said the soldiers, repeating the order. A rumbling noise spread through the atmosphere. The gigantic bronze gate slowly opened itself. "Officer Ren, you and the troops, escort the princess into the Imperial City and ensure her security," said Lin Feng, sounding cold and detached. Ren Qingquang nodded and said, "All right." Immediately, Ren Qingquang jumped in the air and landed back onto his horse's back. He shouted, "Let's escort the princess into the Imperial City and ensure her safety." The troops, who covered a wide and vast area, all started galloping towards the Imperial City. The crowd was speechless. Ensuring the protection of the princess was clearly an excuse to allow the troops entry into the Imperial City. But the princess didn't say anything. Lin Feng was controlling the entire situation. Who would dare say anything? The noise of the horses galloping on the ground was unceasing. Lin Feng waited for all the troops to enter the Imperial City, and then Meng Qing, and he entered as well. Hanging on the Imperial City walls were 2 corpses pinned with many arrows. The sight was, as before, shocking for anyone who saw it. Lin Feng was an outstanding young man whose heart was burning with boldness. He had managed to reverse the course of the events once again. He was so bold that he had even killed Meng Qing and Officer Meng without even blinking. He had ruthlessly killed them. Of course, in order to be bold, one also had to have the appropriate strength. Lin Feng could easily defeat Officer Meng Feng, who had broken through to the 8th Qi layer. He was extremely strong. The crowd had seen how monstrously strong he was. If he didn't die, he would one day become as monstrous as the 8 high officials of Zuyue. Besides, he would soon be even stronger, even more monstrous than the high officials at the bottom of the rankings. In the Imperial City, there was an extremely vast square made of bluestone. It was situated in a lively district of the Imperial City. The flow of people heading in that direction was huge. In the middle of that square, there was a bright red flight of stairs made from metal which gave a dazzling light. That flight of stairs led up to a white stage. On that stage, there was a huge metallic pillar which had a cross symbol at the top. Chains were hanging from that cross. There were two extremely sharp hooks. The view was shocking. The purpose of these two hooks was to skewer the arms of a person attached to the cross. That stage was the death sentence stage, and was used to kill those who had an illustrious social status but had angered the imperial family. Thus, everybody could witness the execution. After killing the criminal, the corpse would be hung from the cross by skewering his arms with the hooks. The body would then be hung there for weeks as a warning to everyone else. It let everyone know what the punishment was for angering the imperial family. At that moment, there was an ocean of people around the death sentence stage. They completely filled the huge square. However, those directly surrounding the death sentence stage were all Zhu Yue soldiers. No one could get close to the stage. I really would never have thought that General Liu Kanglan, the Divine Arrow, who was so majestic, so illustrious, would end up here today. In the crowd, some people were sighing. They were looking at the silhouette on the stage. It was precisely Liu Kanglan. At that moment, Liu Kanglan's body was tied up. Even though he was considered a criminal and was going to be killed, he looked neither humble nor arrogant. Liu Kanglan had no regrets. He was innocent. In front of the crowd, two beautiful eyes were watching Liu Kanglan on the stage. Glistening teardrops were flowing down a set of bright red cheeks. Father, you have sacrificed your youth for Zhu Yue and even devoted your entire life for it. And this is how they expressed their gratitude. That beautiful person was Liu Fei. She looked more mature and more beautiful than back in the days of the Yun Hai sect, but at that moment, she was feeling lonely, desperate, and hopeless. Her heart was shattering into 1,000 pieces. Fei, remember what your father told you. Stay safe, live on. You will be able to avenge him only if you're alive. Next to Liu Fei was a middle-aged man. He looked calm, but his heart felt painful as well, especially when he saw Duan Tian Lang. He wished he could cut out his organs and bathe in his blood. Everything happened because of Duan Tian Lang, including the death of hundreds of thousands of soldiers. But he was blaming Liu Kanglan for all these things. He was blaming Liu Kanglan for the kidnapping of the princess as well. It was a terrible fate for a hero like Liu Kanglan. Everything was ridiculous. Liu Fei nodded, but could not utter a word. Her heart felt heavy. She had to avenge her father. Duan Tian Lang could not be allowed to live. Either he would die or she would. Your father has always been convinced that Lin Feng would protect and take care of you, that nothing would happen to him. After today, we will go and look for him even if it means going to Mo Yue, said the middle-aged man. Liu Fei remained silent. Where was Lin Feng at that moment? She didn't know why, but at that moment, she terribly missed Lin Feng. She had never needed someone so much. When a woman feels lonely, she always thinks about the person whom she cares for the most. Liu Fei at that moment felt powerless. Her father was in front of her and was about to get executed, but she couldn't do anything to prevent it from happening. She could only calmly watch her father get killed. Duan Tian Lang looked at the sky and had a smile of happiness on his face. Duan Tian Lang had been waiting for this day for so many years. He had always wanted to kill Liu Kanglan, and at that moment, he was about to be executed. How could Duan Tian Lang not be happy? The time has come, let's get prepared, said Duan Tian Lang, sounding detached. Immediately after, 4 strong cultivators pulled the chains which tied Liu Kanglan. His bindings suddenly tightened, and then his body was pulled into the air. Liu Kanglan didn't complain. His limbs were pulled in each direction, and he was locked in place. He just continued gazing into the distance. He looked calm. He hated the choices he made in life. He wished he could go back in time. Raise your bows, said Duan Tian Lang, sounding cold and detached. On the bright red flight of stairs, many soldiers raised their bows and aimed at Liu Kanglan. There were 81 archers. Liu Kanglan obviously didn't have any chance to escape. A sharp chi spread through the atmosphere. Was this their way of humiliating Liu Kanglan? His nickname was the Divine Arrow. He was an expert in archery, and they were going to execute him using archery. However, at that moment, the crowd could feel that the ground was shaking, and it was getting more and more intense. They were surprised. The sound of galloping horses spread through the atmosphere. The ground was shaking more and more violently. Duan Tian Lang narrowed his eyes and looked at the distance. He only saw Kaizai cavalry approaching in a large force. They looked like they were flying through the air. They looked insanely powerful. They were really the Kaizai troops. What's going on? Duan Tian Lang was stupefied. How did the Kaizai cavalry make it there? They were supposed to be blocked at the city gate. It was impossible for them to come into the Imperial City. Kaizai cavalry, they came in. Yes, Uncle Jiu, your army, the Kaizai cavalry. Liu Fei looked moved. Jiu Kaizai was with her, and Ren Qing Quang was leading the Kaizai cavalry for him. When he went to the Imperial City, he thought that the Kaizai cavalry would never be able to enter the Imperial City. At that moment, Jiu Kaizai saw a young and handsome man leading them. A smile appeared on his face. Fei, it's Lin Feng. Nothing is impossible for that boy. Surprisingly, he managed to gain entry for the Kaizai soldiers into the Imperial City, said Jiu Kaizai in a low voice. Lin Feng's determination and willpower were impressive. He had completely altered the course of events. He had then killed the kidnappers and rescued the princess, and on top of that, he returned unscathed. Lin Feng had the ability to shatter everyone's expectations. There were tears of joy in Liu Fei's eyes at that moment. That was perfect timing on Lin Feng's part, and besides, he had brought the powerful Kaizai cavalry with him. He would definitely be able to protect her father. However, they seemed to be forgetting that Duan Tian Lang was extremely determined to kill Liu Kanglan. Lin Feng! Duan Tian Lang's facial expression turned evil. He immediately shouted, "Get ready to kill Liu Kanglan." "Roger," shouted the archers in unison. Immediately, Liu Fei and Jiu Kaizai's facial expressions drastically changed. "Duan Tian Lang, don't you dare!" furiously shouted Jiu Kaizai while jumping in the air across the crowd. Boom, boom, boom. Jiu Kaizai's blows killed a few of the archers. "Release the arrows," said Duan Tian Lang with a cold smile on his face. The arrows whistled through the air, moving straight towards Liu Kanglan. At that moment, Jiu Kaizai's face turned deathly pale. He immediately threw himself forwards at full speed. He had dived in front of Liu Kanglan's body to protect him from the arrows. His entire body was releasing qi in the form of a strong wind. His entire body was covered with a bright and resplendent qi. "Get away!" shouted Liu Kanglan. His facial expression drastically changed. At that moment, Liu Kanglan's body was tightly tied up and he couldn't use his cultivation. All Jiu Kaizai could do was protect Liu Kanglan with his body. "Uncle Jiu!" cried Liu Fei in alarm. Immediately after, the sounds of the arrows piercing through the qi spread in the air. The arrows then continued and pierced into Jiu Kaizai's body, but they didn't continue moving towards Liu Kanglan. Jiu Kaizai's body was their final destination. "Brother!" cried Liu Kanglan. His heart felt infinitely painful. On his forehead was a pitch-black seal. That seal kept glowing, making him unable to use his strength. "Die together!" shouted Duan Tian Lang coldly. He then started moving, but at that moment, a piercingly cold energy arrived on his body. He felt as if he was going to freeze on the spot. "Frozen heart!" Duan Tian Lang stopped moving. His face turned deathly pale. He turned around and saw a wave of pure qi roll towards him. It was brutally cold. In a flash, he felt the extreme coldness on his body and was projected backwards, unable to move closer to Liu Kanglan. "Die!" said Lin Feng furiously. Lin Feng was brandishing his sword. Its light was extremely resplendent and dazzling to the eyes. The archers were unceasingly firing their arrows. Lin Feng's expression revealed pure killing intent. Ren Qing Quang immediately killed the 4 people who were pulling the 4 chains which were holding Liu Kanglan in place. Blood was unceasingly flowing from Jiu Kaizai's mouth, but he was smiling. "General, I will sacrifice my life for yours. After I die, Lin Feng can become the officer of the Kaizai troops." "Arg!" Liu Kanglan was endlessly grieved. His eyes were filled with tears. Jiu Kaizai had been an extremely good friend for a dozen years. They had never argued and had always regarded each other as real brothers. They considered each other family. Many times, they had fought battles shoulder to shoulder. However, at that moment, Jiu Kaizai had sacrificed himself. "General, I would like to say one last thing." Jiu Kaizai was leaning against Liu Kanglan. He then leant over and whispered something in Liu Kanglan's ear. The intensity of Jiu Kaizai's voice was dropping. When he finished talking, he looked at Liu Kanglan and smiled at him. "General, for more than a dozen years, I have never called you anything else other than General. When addressing you today, I will call you my brother." The word brother had a deep meaning. After saying that, Jiu Kaizai's voice lost in intensity. His breath became weak, and his vision became blurry. His vitality was quickly leaving his body and his eyes slowly closing. He was calmly lying against Liu Kanglan's chest with an unchanging smile on his face. Liu Kanglan was looking at Jiu Kaizai, and an endless stream of tears started to fall from his eyes. Brothers, could such a simple word really describe the relationship that these two had over these countless years? Jiu Kaizai was motionless, lying against Liu Kanglan's chest. He would never wake again. The ground was unceasingly shaking. People were shouting. The Kaizai cavalry were galloping, and chaos reigned over the crowd. They were all running away from this scene. In a short moment, the Zhu Yue soldiers were not encircling the death sentence stage anymore. Instead, the Kaizai cavalry had replaced them as the Zhu Yue soldiers backed away. At the same time, a large group of Zhu Yue soldiers were coming to attack from the back of the stage. But the Kaizai cavalry all suddenly stopped and looked at the silhouette leaning against Liu Kanglan's chest. In the past, that person used to be their leader, and he was now killed. SSSS! The spears of the Kaizai troops flew through the air. Everyone's hearts started to race. Kaizai soldiers were willing to encircle the Imperial City for their general. They were also capable of attacking Zhu Yue soldiers for their officer. What was happening within that huge area was complete chaos. Thousands of soldiers had already died. What was the reason? Lin Feng remained uncommunicative. Jiu Kaizai was a true leader and a great man. Lin Feng's sword was dancing through the air. He cut the chains around Liu Kanglan's body, but Jiu Kaizai was still leaning against him in silence. Lin Feng, you came into the Imperial City with rebel forces and personally rescued the criminal Liu Kanglan. You deserve a death sentence, said Duan Tian Lang, whose voice sounded ice cold. He was fixedly staring at Lin Feng. Rebel forces, said Lin Feng while fixedly staring at Duan Tian Lang. His tone was cold too. Die, shouted one of the Kaizai soldiers. Die! That shout was imposing and heavy. Deadly energy spread through the atmosphere. The Kaizai soldier raised his long spear. Stop! Shouted Lin Feng while turning around. In a flash, everybody quieted down. They were all staring at Lin Feng. They didn't understand why he had stopped them. Nonetheless, they all stopped moving and remained silent. I haven't given you any order to attack. If you attack, I will personally kill you, said Lin Feng coldly. The hearts of the Kaizai cavalry were pounding, but when they saw how strict Lin Feng looked, they all remained silent. Encircle the stage, said Lin Feng coldly. The Kaizai soldiers obeyed his order and started galloping. In a flash, the Kaizai soldiers encircled the entire death sentence stage so that not even a single drop of water could trickle through. At that moment, Lin Feng had become a sort of pillar for these soldiers. Even though he wasn't their direct superior, everybody obeyed his orders. You will die. Duan Han was standing next to Duan Tian Lang. He narrowed his eyes and intensely stared at Lin Feng. Lin Feng had led a rebel army. Even though Lin Feng was considered a hero in Zhu Yue, he had committed a crime and had to pay for it. Lin Feng coldly glanced at Duan Han. Duan Han's heart twitched. He then closed his mouth, and then Lin Feng disregarded him like he would an insect. He started walking to the front of the death sentence stage. Bring Her Highness up here, said Lin Feng. Immediately after, some soldiers wearing bronze masks slowly arrived. Behind them was a beautiful silhouette on a horse. That beautiful woman made people's heartbeats accelerate. She looked pure and noble. Incredibly, that was the princess of Zhu Yue, Duan Xinyi. Princess, you have returned. Lin Feng really went to Mo Yue alone and returned with the princess, thought some people in the crowd while looking at that beautiful silhouette. Concerning Duan Tian Lang, he narrowed his eyes. Not only had Lin Feng come, but the princess too. Soldiers, salute your princess, said Lin Feng while glancing at the soldiers. They didn't understand what Lin Feng was doing at that moment, but knelt down on one knee and shouted in unison. Your Highness! Lin Feng calmly looked at the soldiers surrounding the death sentence stage and said coldly, How come Duan Tian Lang's army did not salute the princess? Is she not your princess? Are you really this disrespectful? Duan Tian Lang was stupefied. He immediately shouted coldly, Why are you not kneeling down? The Zhu Yue soldiers obeyed the order and knelt down while shouted in unison, Your Highness! Duan Tian Lang salutes Your Highness. Your Highness has come back. This is great news for our country, Zhu Yue, said Duan Tian Lang while slightly bowing and lowering his head. This is all thanks to Lin Feng, said Duan Xinyi calmly while coldly looking at Duan Tian Lang. When Duan Tian Lang heard Duan Xinyi's manner of speaking, his facial expression changed. He didn't know what to say. He wanted Lin Feng to die and accused him of having brought rebel forces. But at that moment, Lin Feng had come back with the princess, which was an incredible military exploit. As expected, Lin Feng is our country's young hero, said Duan Tian Lang while raising his head, and then said in a small voice while smiling. But even though Lin Feng saved you, he has still committed a great crime by gathering rebel forces and bringing them into the Imperial City, and that is not an insignificant crime. Duan Tian Lang is still thinking of how he can falsely accuse others of crimes, said Lin Feng indifferently. Duan Tian Lang was stubborn and said, "Meritorious acts are meritorious acts, crimes are crimes. I, Duan Tian Lang, must declare your faults for the sake of justice." Justice. Duan Tian Lang, how long has it been since we last saw each other? It seems like you get even more shameless each time we meet. I thought it was impossible to be more shameless than you when we last met. But once again you have proven me wrong, said Lin Feng in a cold tone. The crowd was astonished. Lin Feng surprisingly dared to call Duan Tian Lang shameless in front of everybody. The ground started shaking again and rumbling noises spread through the atmosphere. The crowd was surprised. The crowd moved back again and opened a path. At that moment, an incredible number of soldiers were coming. It was the Imperial Guards. Duan Tian Lang felt relieved. A short moment after, the army of guards arrived. The Kaizai soldiers surrounding the death sentence stage wanted to attack, but Lin Feng waved his hand, signaling them to stand their ground and remain calm. Two silhouettes slowly came from the group of Imperial Guards. One of them was wearing armor. He looked majestic and powerful, while the other was a handsome young man, the second prince, Duan Wuya. "Did you kill Meng Feng and Meng Qing? This person is Meng Han, the officer of the Imperial Guards. Officer Meng Feng was his brother," said Duan Wuya. "Indeed," said Lin Feng, sounding calm, cold, and detached. "Huh," Duan Tian Lang was stupefied. Lin Feng had killed Meng Feng and Meng Qing. Inside, he was laughing coldly. He was evilly staring at Lin Feng and then said, "Lin Feng, you saved the princess, which is a military exploit, but acting arrogantly. You dared to kill an officer and then bring rebel forces into the Imperial City. These are both extreme crimes against the country. To pay for your crimes, the only solution is death." Then Duan Tian Lang turned around and looked to Duan Wuya. "Your Highness, please punish Lin Feng for his crimes." Duan Wuya looked relaxed. He had perfectly mastered his emotions. A faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he said, "Lin Feng, Duan Tian Lang wants to punish you for your crimes. Is there anything you want to say?" "Yes," said Lin Feng while slightly nodding. He then immediately turned to Duan Tian Lang and said, "Duan Tian Lang, during the war, because he wanted to kill me, he created chaos within our army, allowing the Mo Yue army to exploit the weakness that he created. Hundreds of thousands of Zhu Yue soldiers died so he could have the opportunity to kill me. It was a bloodbath. Now he wants to punish me for my crimes with a death sentence. I don't think that it's a strange thing at all." When Lin Feng finished talking, the crowd was astonished. Duan Tian Lang had caused chaos within their own army because he wanted to kill Lin Feng. From what they had heard, Liu Kanglan was responsible for that. "He's talking nonsense, Your Highness. Not only is Lin Feng a traitor, but he is also a lying little rat. Don't trust him," said Duan Tian Lang. Of course, he wasn't going to admit his faults. Lin Feng perfectly knew that. "Duan Tian Lang is calling me a traitor, yet he gives no explanation and wants punishment. At what moment have I rebelled?" asked Lin Feng. "You came into the Imperial City with rebel forces, killed Meng Feng as well as Meng Qing. You encircled the death sentence stage and rescued Liu Kanglan, who is a criminal. Everybody saw this with their own eyes. Is that enough? Shut your filthy mouth," furiously shouted Lin Feng, his eyes unveiled killing intent. He was exasperated. He then pointed at the Kaizai cavalry. "Duan Tian Lang, these soldiers have courageously fought against the enemy. We encircled them inside the city and burnt them alive inside. We killed hundreds of thousands of the Mo Yue army. In the end, they were forced to retreat. At that moment, I'm asking you, where were you? You had already deserted the army and ran back to the Imperial City like a little scared dog. You are really audacious. And now what? You are calling me a traitor, but I want to ask you, who are you to call me a traitor? Are you the one who decides? What status do you hold where you think that by calling me a traitor, I instantly become one?" Lin Feng's voice sounded extremely cold. Duan Tian Lang was speechless. The crowd was also astonished. They had killed hundreds of thousands of Mo Yue soldiers in Duan Ren City and made them retreat. At that moment, Duan Tian Lang had already run away. How could he judge someone else's faults? Duan Tian Lang looked glum. He then coldly said, The Imperial City is a holy place in Zhu Yue. Is it normal for an army to enter it by force without permission? Is it normal to kill an officer and his son when entering the city? If that is not being a traitor, then what is? The princess and I rushed back to the Imperial City. Then some soldiers attempted to assassinate us. Besides, they were all Zhu Yue soldiers. They knew that the princess was there, but they still tried to kill us. I want to ask you, Duan Tian Lang, doesn't the whole army now follow your commands? Nonsense. How could they be my soldiers? Quickly refuted Duan Tian Lang angrily. Well then, the most amusing part is that even if they were not your soldiers, my role is to protect the princess, and I ordered the Kai Zai cavalry to protect her and accompany the princess to the Imperial City. However, Duan Tian Lang, you call me a traitor and want to kill me. You also called these soldiers rebel forces. If I understand your argument, you're clearly saying that we are a rebel army and deserve to die, because we protected the princess against countless squads of Zhu Yue soldiers that you claim were not under your control. Is that right? Lin Feng's words made Duan Tian Lang's face sink. Lin Feng had only said a few words, but he had exposed Duan Tian Lang. Lin Feng's last words had been so eloquent that they cornered Duan Tian Lang. Of course, protecting the princess is not a crime, but Officer Meng Feng and Meng Qing's deaths, how do you explain them? Things are not as simple as you would have others believe, said Duan Tian Lang, looking evil. I was outside of the Imperial City. Meng Qing knew that the princess was amongst us, but still gave the Zhu Yue soldiers the order to fire arrows at us, including the princess. Duan Tian Lang, I Lin Feng want to ask you, was killing him the right thing to do? Duan Tian Lang narrowed his eyes and said, yes, he deserved to die. Well then, I will ask you something else. Meng Qing's father, Officer Meng Feng, let his son give the order to kill the princess, and then committed another offense by preventing the princess from entering the Imperial City. Was killing him the right thing to do? Lin Feng's voice was cold and sharp. It was the right thing to do, said Duan Tian Lang, agreeing with Lin Feng. Duan Tian Lang, you're saying it yourself. They deserve to die, so now I want to ask you, what crime have I committed? Am I a traitor because I came into the Imperial City with soldiers who were protecting the princess? Said Lin Feng coldly while staring at Duan Tian Lang. Lin Feng had prevented the Kai Zai soldiers from attacking because he had a plan. A few tens of thousands soldiers was a minuscule amount. If they had attacked, they would have immediately been considered as a rebel army and would have been wiped out. HMPH, you protected the princess. That is indeed a meritorious act, but a moment before, you killed some soldiers which belonged the enforcement troops and rescued the criminal Liu Kang Lan. Isn't that a crime? Of course that is not a crime, said Lin Feng while staring at Duan Tian Lang, and then continued. General Liu Kang Lan went to war and fought against Mo Yue for our country, Zhu Yue, but you abandoned him. You're a deserter who accused him of your own crimes. How could I not save him? A deserter. Duan Tian Lang had a hideous expression on his face. Lin Feng was, once again, humiliating him in front of everyone. Duan Tian Lang, no need to hurry and justify yourself. I have been answering so many questions, however you have your own crimes to account for, said Lin Feng with a smile yet not a smile on his face. He then continued, Duan Tian Lang, the Kai Zai cavalry and I were protecting the princess. Why can't you distinguish good from bad? Why do you say that we have committed crimes? Why did you hurry to accuse us of various crimes? Why are you trying at every possible occasion to sentence me to death? Besides, when I came here, why did you try and hurry the execution of Liu Kang Lan? Also, when the princess and I came back to the city, we were attacked by several squads of Zhu Yue soldiers. As far as I know, you command those soldiers. Are you not the one who ordered them to kill me and the princess? Lin Feng's questions made the crowd astonished. It seemed like that entire story wasn't as simple as they had thought. All your questions are attempting to harm my reputation. I will refrain from answering them, said Duan Tian Lang coldly. He didn't care. What could Lin Feng do anyway? You have the right not to care, but I want to ask you something. Has General Liu Kang Lan committed any crime? Duan Tian Lang was furious and really wanted to kill Lin Feng. As far as Liu Kang Lan, everybody knew about him. Nothing could be kept secret. Liu Kang Lan sowed disorder amongst the troops, making us lose a battle against Mo Yue, leading to the death of hundreds of thousands of troops, and he didn't protect the princess who was kidnapped. Are all these crimes enough for him to be sentenced to death? This is your version of events. The person who committed all of these crimes, was it not actually you? Said Lin Feng while smiling indifferently. Immediately after, he pointed at Duan Wu Ye and said, The second prince is here as a witness. I hope that you would not dare to lie in the face of our second prince." "It was me," admitted Duan Tian Lang as he forced the words from his mouth. "Hee, how shameless, what a shameless dog, but on the other hand, I am not surprised," said Lin Feng while smiling. His tone was humiliating Duan Tian Lang. "I just want to ask you, Duan Tian Lang, you say that the princess was kidnapped. Where was she kidnapped exactly? Was she in one of Liu Kang Lan's tents at that moment, or was she in one of your tents?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "The princess is here before us. I hope that you would not be planning to tell any lies." Duan Tian Lang was blankly staring at Lin Feng. His mouth was about to move, but then Duan Wuya spoke. "Uncle, for the sake of justice, please reply to Lin Feng's questions. I will be fair." The situation was awkward for Duan Tian Lang, he said in a low voice. "She was in one of the tents from my campsite." When the crowd heard Duan Tian Lang, they burst into an uproar. Surprisingly, it really was exactly as Lin Feng was explaining. "Since those are the facts, there is something that I don't really understand. If the princess was kidnapped in one of your tents, why would Liu Kang Lan have to bear the responsibility for it? How has he committed a crime? Besides, you still have the face to order Liu Kang Lan's execution. I would like to hear your explanation." Lin Feng was speaking extremely loudly so that everybody could clearly hear what he was saying. "Please explain," shouted all of the Kaizai soldiers who were encircling the death sentence stage. Duan Tian Lang's facial expression was utterly hideous. At that moment, if Lin Feng and Duan Xinyi hadn't returned, Liu Kang Lan would have already been executed. The entire situation had changed. Liu Kang Lan is a general. He didn't properly ensure the security of the campsite, giving the Mo Yue troops an opportunity to kidnap the princess. Of course that it is a crime, said Duan Tian Lang, trying to pass the blame again. But obviously his argument couldn't persuade anyone in the crowd any longer. "So that's the reason," said Lin Feng while smiling. "Well, I was there too, and at the moment when I tried to chase the kidnappers, your troops obstructed my path and said that I plotted against the princess. You were the one who always wanted me dead. Immediately after the princess was kidnapped, you were already there to execute me, but did not see the kidnappers. How did you manage to do that?" When Lin Feng said that, everybody looked at Duan Tian Lang expecting a prompt answer. Everybody wanted to know what really happened on the battlefield that had led to the death of hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Duan Tian Lang remained silent. "Since Duan Tian Lang remained silent, I will say what happened myself. Duan Tian Lang, you wanted to make it appear as if I was the culprit and sacrificed the princess in order to settle a personal grudge with me. When Liu Kang Lan saw that you were trying to kill me unjustly, he brought his army to stop you, and then you ordered your soldiers to attack his. Clearly this was the act of a noble war hero. Besides, once disorder had been sown amongst the army, the Mo Yue army attacked, and they killed hundreds of thousands from the army." Lin Feng's voice was calm and solemn. While looking at Duan Tian Lang, he said, "Duan Tian Lang, is what I am saying the truth or not?" The hearts of the people in the crowd were pounding. Surprisingly, Duan Tian Lang was the person who caused so many deaths, and Liu Kang Lan was to be executed for Duan Tian Lang's crimes. "Nonsense," furiously shouted Duan Tian Lang. Lin Feng was smiling and then continued, "I am not done talking. Duan Tian Lang, there is no need for you to try and cover up the truth any longer. After the chaos, and after hundreds of thousands of soldiers had been killed, the Zhu Yue army returned to Duan Ren City. There was evidence that the person who kidnapped the princess was working for Mo Yue. Besides, at the moment when the princess had been kidnapped, it was soldiers under your command that blocked my path and let the kidnappers escape. They were traitors. And yet again, they were surprisingly under your command. I can say that there isn't a single person within the army who doesn't know about these acts of treason. What explanation can you provide?" So that's how it happened. The person who kidnapped the princess was from Mo Yue, and Duan Tian Lang was the one giving the orders. Besides, he was using every opportunity to kill Lin Feng. That news was shocking. After that, Liu Kang Lan and I fought against the enemy, organized an ambush in Duan Ren City and set it on fire. At that moment, you, Duan Tian Lang, had already deserted to the Imperial City. Everyone knows what happened after. You changed the entire story and gave Zhu Yue a false version of events in which Liu Kang Lan was responsible for your crimes. Then you had done your best to execute Liu Kang Lan. Besides, the princess and I were missing and assumed dead, so we could not testify to your crimes. The problem is that if either of us returned alive, you would have been in trouble, so you ordered several squads of soldiers to kill us on the way. When Lin Feng finished talking, the entire crowd was drowned into silence. The crowd was now having doubts. Maybe Duan Tian Lang was really the mastermind behind this entire plot. Lin Feng, you're just trying to ruin my reputation. What you're saying is a pack of lies. I have never dispatched anyone to kill you or the princess. Besides, I suspect that you're the one who kidnapped the princess, and it is only because you have threatened her and she's under pressure that she listens to you, said Duan Tian Lang while making a false accusation. Is that so? How come the high-ranking soldiers who tried to kill me told me that they were only obeying orders, and the Black Guard lieutenants confirmed that you were collaborating with Mo Yue? You sowed disorder within our army, which resulted in the death of hundreds of thousands of soldiers. If you were not working with Mo Yue, why would you have attacked Liu Kang Lan's army? You, Duan Tian Lang, are good at secretly at plotting against people, said Lin Feng, sounding cold and detached. The crowd was astonished. Duan Tian Lang had collaborated with Mo Yue. Lin Feng's words were too powerful. These crimes were enough for Duan Tian Lang to be sentenced to death a few times over. Duan Tian Lang's heart was also pounding. He was fixedly staring at Lin Feng. Surprisingly, Lin Feng was also declaring that Duan Tian Lang had collaborated with Mo Yue. Lin Feng, I devoted my life to Zhu Yue, and you dare say that I collaborated with the enemy. How am I supposed to let you live? Said Duan Tian Lang while releasing a deadly chi. He really wanted to kill Lin Feng. So that's how it is. You really did commit all of these crimes. I said that you collaborated with Mo Yue, and again, the only thing you can do is try to silence me. Apart from that crime, you also deserted and created chaos within the troops, which resulted in the death of hundreds of thousands of soldiers. It was a bloodbath. Then, you tried to make Liu Kang Lan bear the responsibility for all of these crimes. Then you almost killed him. Also, because of you, the officer of the Kaizai army, Jiu Kaizai, is now dead. How could the army of Kaizai forgive you? Lin Feng sounded imposing and domineering. Immediately after, he looked at the soldiers and said, "Tell me, can you forgive Duan Tian Lang?" "No, we can't." The tens of thousands of Kaizai soldiers were shouting loudly and aggressively. Duan Tian Lang suddenly had the impression that he was being absorbed by Lin Feng. "All right," shouted Lin Feng. Immediately after, he looked at the second prince and said, "Your Highness, you have seen it too. I only said a few truths and Duan Tian Lang tries to kill me. Besides, the soldiers cannot forgive him for what he has done. Now, if Duan Tian Lang kills me, I will have no regrets because I have done nothing wrong. However, I would like to ask Your Highness and Officer Meng not to intervene in this fight." Duan Wu had remained silent almost the entire time. He looked pensive while looking at Lin Feng. He was also surprised. Lin Feng's words had been sharp, harsh, and powerful. Duan Tian Lang couldn't reply at all. At that moment, a battle was probably going to break out, and if Officer Meng didn't get involved, Lin Feng would have the advantage. At the moment, I cannot clearly distinguish what is right and wrong, but there is already a profound hatred between Duan Tian Lang and you. If he wants to fight against you, I will not prevent him from doing so. I want to see if he believes he has the required ability to kill you, said Duan Wu indifferently. Everybody was astonished. Duan Wu said that he was wondering if Duan Tian Lang had the ability to kill Lin Feng, but actually, that was covering his tacit consent for Lin Feng to dispose of Duan Tian Lang as he wished. But everybody understood what Duan Wu meant. He had agreed and the crowd was astonished. Duan Tian Lang also remained silent. He had felt ice-cold chill in his heart. Duan Wu was not hiding his intentions anymore. He wanted to kill him. "Officer Meng," said Duan Tian Lang while glancing at Duan Wu and then immediately looking at Meng Han. Duan Tian Lang has a high status within the Imperial family. I, Meng Han, am the officer of the Imperial Guard. I have to protect the entire Imperial family. I obviously couldn't accept it if anything happens to Duan Tian Lang, said Meng Han, sounding calm. He was clearly on Duan Tian Lang's side. Duan Xinyi and Duan Wu were worried about Lin Feng. They would help him even if it meant contradicting Duan Tian Lang. Lin Feng was calmly looking at everything that was happening around him. Besides, Meng Han, who was the officer of the Imperial Guards, didn't even care about making Duan Wu lose face. It seems like the fact that Duan Wu and Meng Han both came has a profound meaning. It shows that they are both in opposing factions, thought Lin Feng. The things that happened within the Imperial family were hard to understand. When Duan Wu heard Meng Han, he laughed, but the laugh also contained some coldness. An officer of the Imperial Guard indeed, thought Duan Wu. Immediately after, he started walking slowly towards Duan Xinyi and asked, "Xinyi, is what Lin Feng said the truth? Did you really get kidnapped in Duan Tian Lang's tent?" "Yes, it is the truth," said Duan Xinyi while nodding, and then added, "On that day, Lin Feng and I were chatting in the tent when suddenly an assassin came, and as Lin Feng saved me, I was kidnapped. After that, the kidnapper confirmed that he received orders from the Holy Courtyard and Uncle Duan, who were cooperating with Mo Yue. Duan Tian Lang was also plotting against Lin Feng." "I understand," said Duan Wuya while slightly nodding, and then immediately said, "Xinyi, you went through many hardships because of me." When he finished talking, Duan Wuya walked back towards Duan Tian Lang, who started feeling uncertain. Duan Tian Lang didn't fear many people, but Duan Wuya was one of those he feared. Duan Wuya's way of working wasn't easy to understand. There were very few people who could guess what he was thinking. Then Lin Feng and Liu Kanglan managed to encircle the enemy in Duan Ren City and burnt the city, killing a few 100,000 enemy soldiers. Then they were forced to retreat back to Mo Yue. "Duan Tian Lang, would you like to say anything about this?" Duan Tian Lang was fixedly staring at Duan Wuya and said, "No." "All right," said Duan Wuya while nodding, and continued. "During the battle, a few 100,000 soldiers were sacrificed, but regardless of that, Lin Feng and the princess have come back to the Imperial City alive, and the invading army has been repelled. Besides, there was also a huge misunderstanding about Liu Kanglan, right?" "That's right," said Duan Tian Lang, who didn't feel like nodding anymore. "Good," said Duan Wuya while nodding. He started walking on the death sentence stage and glanced at the crowd. He then said, "The dead are already gone, and I am not looking for the guilty party any longer, but my family has falsely accused General Liu Kanglan. General Liu Kanglan, the Divine Arrow, has always been loyal, devoted, and courageous. He has always fought for the country. We can't forget that. I will report all of this to my father. I would like to grant Liu Kanglan with the status of Imperial Minister, and he will also retain his status as a general. Besides, we will grant Jiu Kaizai with a posthumous title for his courage and loyalty." He was conferring an imperial title upon Liu Kanglan and a posthumous title upon Jiu Kaizai. For Liu Kanglan, that didn't matter much. In Duan Ren City, he was already like a king. As far as Jiu Kaizai, what was the point in granting him a title? He was already dead. But Duan Wuya's point was more about admitting that the imperial family had made mistakes. They had unjustly accused Liu Kanglan, but they recognized his loyalty and courage. "Uncle, do you agree with these things?" said Duan Wuya while looking at Duan Tian Lang. Duan Tian Lang was surprised and had no choice but to nod. They were rendering justice to Liu Kanglan and at the same time establishing Duan Tian Lang's own guilt. Liu Kanglan retained his title as a general. "General, what do you think about it?" asked Duan Wuya to Liu Kanglan. Liu Kanglan still had Jiu Kaizai's corpse leaning against him. He slowly looked at the Kaizai troops. He looked expressionless. "I, Liu Kanglan, am grateful to the second prince. Thank you for your kindness. I am willing to accept these titles," said Liu Kanglan, sounding indifferent. "General," shouted the thousands of soldiers, "how could he accept? Accepting meant letting Duan Tian Lang get away with it." Liu Kang looked at the crowd. Many of the soldiers were looking at Lin Feng. Liu Kanglan sighed, but also felt gratified. Lin Feng could now lead a whole army without Liu Kanglan's help. Officer Jiu's last wish was to grant Lin Feng the status of officer of the Kaizai after his death. "From today, Lin Feng, you are the officer of the Kaizai army. I will first bring the soldiers back to Duan Ren City and then hand the army over to you. Forget about what happened today," said Liu Kanglan. Immediately after, he jumped on a horse while carrying Jiu Kaizai's corpse in his arms. A wave of sorrow filled the atmosphere. Everybody could feel how desperate and sad Liu Kanglan felt. They had fought loyally for their country, and this was how they were repaid. When Lin Feng heard Liu Kanglan, he calmly nodded. He, of course, knew what Liu Kanglan had meant. He was hoping that no more blood of the people he cared about would be spilt, so he wanted Lin Feng to forget about what had happened with Duan Tian Lang. If Lin Feng continued his verbal attacks against Duan Tian Lang, the blood of the soldiers would inevitably flow. Liu Kanglan didn't want such a thing to happen again. When Lin Feng saw Liu Kanglan leave, he sighed. What a sorrowful hero. Duan Wuya was relieved to see that Liu Kanglan had accepted. Immediately after, he said, "Lin Feng, with your strategy, you managed to kill hundreds of thousands of enemy soldiers and repel their army. Then, you traveled into the enemy country to rescue the princess, and returned her safely to the Imperial City. General Liu Kanglan just granted you the title of officer. I, as a representative of the Imperial family, also confer Lin Feng a title, the title of Marquis, and your fief is Yangzhou City. Marquis of Yangzhou City. The crowd was stupefied. Officer of the Kaizai troops and Marquis of the fief of Yangzhou in Zuyue, those who had the most power after the Imperial family were Imperial ministers, and directly below them was Marquis. Some Marquis reigned over a village while some others reigned over a city. Owning a city was required to be considered as a true Marquis. Even though Yangzhou City wasn't very big, Duan Wuya's move was of the highest significance. He had made Lin Feng into a true Marquis. He had given Lin Feng incredible power. From that moment, Yangzhou City belonged to Lin Feng. Every inhabitant of Yangzhou was under Lin Feng's control, and all of their lives belonged to him. At that moment, a realization flashed through Lin Feng's eyes. He realized that Duan Wuya was honoring his promise. He had hoped that Lin Feng would perform meritorious acts during the war so that he could provide him with a social status. Now that Lin Feng was back in the Imperial City, Duan Wuya was granting Lin Feng with a social status, and at the same, he was directly implying that Lin Feng was part of his faction. "Thank you, Your Highness," said Lin Feng in a low voice. Of course, he wasn't going to refuse Duan Wuya's offer. There were many strong cultivators in Zuyue, and Lin Feng still wasn't extremely strong. Receiving such an opportunity was a great chance for him. "Don't get too happy yet. My father still has to make the final decision," said Duan Wuya while smiling warmly. Even though he was saying that, the whole crowd knew that everything was already set in stone. The final decision was just part of the process. Once the prince announced it, it was confirmed. If Duan Wuya wasn't sure about what he said, he wouldn't have said it in front of everyone. If the decision was overturned, he would have lost face. Lin Feng slightly nodded and remained silent. Duan Wuya turned towards Duan Xinyi and said, "Xinyi, that guy Meng Qing, did he really attack you? Was Meng Feng really there on the gate with him?" Duan Xinyi looked at Duan Wuya and nodded. "Yes, everybody saw us outside of the Imperial City. Meng Qing gave the troops the orders to kill Lin Feng and me. Besides, Meng Feng didn't want to allow me entry into the Imperial City." Duan Wuya slightly nodded and said, "Meng Feng was an officer and he committed a terrible crime. He illegally granted power to Meng Qing, who then used that power to try and kill my little sister. A soldier of the Imperial City who wants to kill the princess deserves death." When the crowd heard Duan Wuya, they were surprised. Meng Feng and Meng Qing had already died. Why was Duan Wuya still talking about them? But at the moment, when they were asking themselves questions, Duan Wuya looked at Meng Han. The crowd was wondering what was going on. Meng Han's heart also started accelerating. He had the impression that something ominous was going to happen. A moment before, he had made Duan Wuya lose face by supporting Duan Tian Lang. Officer Meng Feng attempted to assassinate the princess. Even though he is dead already, his brother Meng Han is still the officer of the Imperial Guards. I think that it is necessary to carry out a full investigation. Meng Han, you are already not an appropriate choice to occupy the function of officer of the Imperial Guards. When Duan Wuya finished talking, people's hearts were racing. The second prince was extremely fierce and harsh. Meng Han couldn't refute his argument. Meng Han's heart violently pounded as well. He wanted Duan Wuya to die for finding such an excuse to dismiss him. Meng Han turned around and looked at Duan Tian Lang, who remained silent. Duan Tian Lang was already in a critical situation himself. Duan Wuya hadn't decided what he wanted to do with him. Otherwise, he wouldn't remain so polite. At that moment, though, he didn't want to anger the second prince. The second prince was fierce, intrepid, and tough. Meng Han saw that Duan Tian Lang remained silent. He then said to Duan Wuya, "Your Highness, Meng Feng committed crimes, but what does that have to do with me? Even though he was my brother, I know nothing about that. How can you blame me and dismiss me from my function as an officer of the Imperial Guard?" "Meng Han, I didn't say that it had something to do with you either, but Meng Feng was involved in an assassination attempt on the princess of the Imperial family. I, as the second prince, must investigate. It is my duty as I don't understand the whole situation. Wait until we have gathered all of the facts with a thorough investigation. And if you are absolutely clean, you will be able to return to your post as an officer of the Imperial Guard." Duan Wuya's argument sounded quite logical, but everybody knew that Meng Han was being relieved of his position as an officer of the Imperial Guard. It would be extremely difficult for him to hold such a high position again. It was actually almost impossible. "I, Meng Han, am innocent," said Meng Han coldly. He was standing tall and upright and fixedly staring at Duan Wuya. At that moment, he was still in a position of power with the Imperial Guards obeying his orders. If the second prince wanted to attack him, it wouldn't be that easy, however. As time went on, people would come to assist him. Meng Han, how audacious! How does he even have the courage to talk to the second prince that way? "It seems like there are some people from above supporting Meng Han," whispered the people far away in the crowd. Meng Han had immediately contradicted Duan Wuya in front of everybody. "He. Duan Wuya laughed. His smile hadn't disappeared. "Meng Han, what you mean is that I am groundlessly dismissing you from your functions. Do you mean that you will not obey my orders? You, Meng Han, intend to do what? Keep your function as an officer by force. How could I, Meng Han, not obey the second prince's order? It's just that the function of officer of the Imperial Guard is very important. Apart from me, nobody else can do it. Besides, the Imperial Guards also consider me as their brothers. It is not their wish to see anyone replace me." "Is that so?" asked Duan Wuya with an evil smile on his face, which made Meng Han's facial expression change. "CRRR, CRR?" A faint and subtle sound spread in the air. Meng Han was violently shaking and breathing heavily. Blood sprayed from his mouth. Not only was Meng Han's heart pounding, but the crowd were also on edge from watching this. Blood was unceasingly flowing from Meng Han's mouth. He lowered his head and only saw the tip of a silver spear that had pierced through his chest from behind. The Imperial Guards were like his brothers and didn't want to see anyone replace him. His voice was still resonating in people's minds, but the reality was much harsher. Meng Han moved his body. He wanted to turn around, but the spear was not moving. Suddenly, a deadly energy penetrated his body and destroyed his organs. The crowd was astonished. Blood sprayed out from his mouth, and his lifeless body slowly collapsed onto the floor. After Meng Han collapsed, the high-ranking soldiers who were behind him were absolutely calm. Their expression hadn't changed whatsoever. They all looked extremely serene and peaceful. There were about 30 guards in this high-ranking group. They were all young, but their coldness was enough to make other people's hearts feel a tinge of fear. Meng Han's brother, Meng Feng, attempted to kill the princess. Meng Han refused to admit it and kept contradicting Your Highness over and over again. I, Yujai, the non-commissioned officer of the Imperial Guards, killed him for his insubordination. Please forgive me for taking action, Your Highness. Yujai was kneeling down and bowing in front of Duan Wuya. Behind Yujai, the army of Imperial Guards remained motionless. All of them looked calm and serene, as if they were not surprised at all. They almost agreed with how the events had played out. Everybody was astonished by the coldness of that scene. Meng Feng had been plotting against my little sister and wanted to kill her. Meng Han hasn't expressed any regret at all and refused to acknowledge his brother's crime. Besides, he was extremely rude to me. Even though Yujai killed Meng Han, and that is a crime, it is still a sign of loyalty and devotion to the imperial family. Duan Wuya was speaking slowly and then continued. Today, Meng Han died, but it is required for the guards to have an officer. Yujai, you are, for the time being, promoted to the position of officer of the Imperial Guards. Thank you, Your Highness, said Yujai while respectfully bowing and kneeling down. Immediately after, he stood up. At the same time, the high-ranking Imperial Guards behind him also bowed respectfully and shouted in unison. His Highness is wise and kind. We thank you for our new officer. All the ordinary Imperial Guards were stupefied and were just realizing what had happened. They then slowly knelt down and shouted in unison, His Highness, thank you for our new officer. These extremely loud voices were resonating through the crowd. People's hearts were violently pounding. They were unable to calm down. How fierce and powerful. Duan Wuya could control the Imperial Guards so easily. His methods were intense. If the crowd didn't know that Yujai was one of Duan Wuya's factions, all sorts of rumors would be spread. Lin Feng calmly smiled at Duan Wuya, but was still feeling a bit cold in his heart. Duan Wuya was dangerous, extremely dangerous. Everybody stand up, said Duan Wuya while waving his hand. The ones who were still kneeling down slowly stood up, but for a long time they were unable to calm down. A position as important as officer of the Imperial Guard had been transferred so easily. Duan Wuya's opinion was that there was nothing special or surprising about it. It was as if the Imperial Guard didn't mean that much to him. Yujai, now you are the officer of the Imperial Guard, you know what you have to do. Yujai nodded and bowed while saying, Your Highness, I will leave with the guards now and patrol the streets to ensure the residents' safety. All right, you can go. said Duan Wuya while waving. Immediately after, several tens of thousands of guards left. Only those from Duan Ren City, who were surrounding the death sentence stage, were still there. Nobody could threaten them. Duan Tian Lang and his son's facial expression was growing more and more hideous. Duan Tian Lang had wanted to kill Liu Kang Lan, but at the crucial moment, Lin Feng had appeared with Duan Xinyi. They had rushed over, and killing Liu Kang Lan had become impossible. He was going to stay alive. Besides, Duan Han wanted to marry Liu Fei. Using Liu Kang Lan's life as a bargaining tool, he had been blackmailing her. If she wasn't willing to engage in a relationship with him, he would turn his back on Liu Kang Lan, who would then die. Liu Fei hated him and didn't want to become his wife. She rejected his offer. What was making them boil with envy was that Lin Feng had become a marquis, the officer of the Kai Zai army, and had obtained the control of his hometown. Besides, Duan Wuya had also appointed a new person to be the officer of the Imperial Guards. It was a crushing defeat for them. All these things had happened because of one person, Lin Feng. At that moment, Duan Tian Lang and his son were looking at Lin Feng with ice-cold glares. Lin Feng turned around and looked at them. His face was filled with killing intent, and he made no attempt to hide it. Lin Feng, we're stopping this for the time being, said Duan Wuya in a low voice when he sensed Lin Feng was ready to kill. Duan Tian Lang had a high status. He was a noble from the Duan clan. Duan Tian Lang was a member of the imperial family. Killing him isn't as easy as killing Meng Han. It would need a justified reason. Lin Feng had no excuse to kill Duan Tian Lang at that moment. Yes, I understand, Your Highness. What happened today is over for the time being, said Lin Feng while slightly nodding. The soldiers sighed. Duan Tian Lang would stay alive after all he had done, even though the blood of so many people was on his hands. Of course, they weren't blaming Lin Feng. What he had done wasn't easy at all. If Lin Feng hadn't been there, Liu Kang Lan would have been executed, and they would have been doomed as well, as they would have been considered as a rebel army. But at that moment, Lin Feng turned around and looked at Duan Tian Lang and Duan Han. He said, "What happened today is over for now, but last time, Duan Tian Lang brought an army to exterminate the Yun Hai sect. The Yun Hai sect turned into a bloodbath. I, Lin Feng, as a disciple of the Yun Hai sect, need to get my revenge because of the hatred left deep within my heart. Therefore, the enmity between Duan Tian Lang and me will never end without his death." The crowd was stupefied. It wasn't over. Lin Feng used to be a disciple of the Yun Hai sect, therefore, he had an excuse for not letting past grievances be settled. So that's how it is. Duan Tian Lang exterminated the Yun Hai sect, of which Lin Feng used to be a disciple. His hatred for Duan Tian Lang should be endless. How could he forget such a thing? Duan Tian Lang is his enemy, and the hatred is too deeply engraved in his heart. There is no solution. With such justification, Duan Wuya cannot say anything either. People in the crowd were all trying to understand the situation. Then they saw Lin Feng turn around. He looked at the troops and at Ren Qing Quang in particular. "Officer Ren, sorry for causing you trouble. Please take the troops out of the city and wait for me there. I have something to do here. I will come to you when I'm done," said Lin Feng to Ren Qing Quang. Immediately, many started shouting from within the army. "We're not leaving. The officer is here. We're staying." "Yes, we will stay with our officer," the Kai Zai troops were shouting in protest. The crowd was surprised. Lin Feng was so young, and his troops were already extremely loyal and devoted to him. These feelings were already deeply engraved into their hearts. Surprisingly, even before Liu Kang Lan had assigned Lin Feng as their new officer, they have already regarded him as their leader. "Get the hell out of here, all of you. If you don't hurry, I'll get angry," said Lin Feng, sounding ice-cold. The troops were all a bit surprised. "Officer Ren, sorry for the inconvenience." Lin Feng coldly looked at the troops and then at Ren Qing Quang. If they stayed with him, it would be the same as continuing to talk about the problems that happened on that day. Even though in itself, it was the same. It was no longer about the grievance between Duan Tian Lang and the Kai Zai army. Lin Feng needed to justify his reason for revenge because Duan Wuya was there. Duan Wuya had freed Liu Kang Lan, giving him the title of Imperial Minister. He had given Lin Feng the title of Marquis. All these things were supposed to make them stop pursuing issues caused by the war. If Lin Feng continued, Duan Wuya would not tolerate it. Therefore, at that moment, he gave a new reason. The Yun Hai sect had been destroyed. The troops thus had to leave as it did not involve them. "All right," said Ren Qing Quang. He perfectly understood Lin Feng. Ren Qing Quang shouted, "Troops, listen to your orders. Leave the Imperial City immediately." After saying that, Ren Qingquang turned around and slowly left. The troops, even though they were doing it against their own will, still obeyed Lin Feng's order and galloped away. Immediately after, Ren Qingquang also left with them. A short time later, all the troops had left the Imperial City. The area seemed deserted. In the entire area, the only ones left were Lin Feng, Meng Qing, the Celestial Sword Battalion, Duan Wuya, Duan Xinyi, Duan Tian Lang, and his son. At that moment, Duan Tian Lang narrowed his eyes and evilly stared at Lin Feng. That boy wasn't going to give up. Duan Wuya hadn't thought that Lin Feng would be so stubborn either, but Lin Feng had mentioned the extermination of the Yun Hai sect and his status as a disciple of the Yun Hai sect. Of course, his heart was filled with hatred. "Lin Feng!" shouted Duan Wuya at that moment. Lin Feng turned around and immediately heard him say, "Lin Feng, Duan Tian Lang is an Imperial family member. His title of being an Imperial family member is higher than that of Marquis, more respectable. You cannot attack him." "I know," said Lin Feng while slightly nodding. Duan Wuya was a bit surprised, since Lin Feng knew what else did he want. "Your Highness, Duan Tian Lang is a member of the Imperial family and your uncle. His status is respectable and extremely high. I will obviously not attack him," said Lin Feng, sounding detached. The crowd didn't understand him at all. But then they heard Lin Feng continue. "However, back in the past, Duan Tian Lang had brought his son along, Duan Han, who helped him to slaughter the Yun Hai sect, my sect. Duan Han is extremely arrogant and thinks he is better than me. He even said that I wouldn't withstand a single attack when we fought. Now, Duan Han, the young noble without an incredible status, is before me. I, Lin Feng, am already a marquis. It should be enough for me to have a battle against him. Right here, right now, I would like him to enlighten me as he said he would in the past." When the crowd heard Lin Feng, they immediately understood who his target was. It wasn't Duan Tian Lang, but Duan Han. Lin Feng was challenging Duan Han. However, Duan Han at that moment would never want to fight. He remembered that day at the Yun Hai sect. He thought that he was extremely strong, but then at that moment, fighting against Lin Feng had become difficult for him. Lin Feng had always been stronger than Duan Han. Duan Han didn't have the courage to fight against Lin Feng anymore. Duan Han felt awkward and was staring Lin Feng. He had a hideous facial expression. How was he supposed to accept Lin Feng's challenge? "We refuse. Duan Han and I have things to do. We have no time," said Duan Tian Lang, sounding cold and detached. "Things to do," said Lin Feng while smiling coldly. "Duan Tian Lang, when you went to destroy the Yun Hai sect, did you ask the people of the Yun Hai sect if they would accept?" Duan Tian Lang narrowed his eyes. That was ridiculous. How could they accept? "Duan Tian Lang, when the princess was taken away, your troops blocked my path and tried to kill me. Did you ask me if I had the time?" Lin Feng ignored Duan Tian Lang and continued. "Besides, Duan Tian Lang, when you and your son set a trap in order to kill me, which led to the death of hundreds of thousands from the Zhu Yue army, then deserted the battlefield in order to rush back and try to have Liu Kang Lan executed. Did you ask everybody else if they accepted?" Lin Feng's voice was growing louder and louder. A cold and deadly energy emerged from his body. Lin Feng, who was always calm, was furious. How powerful. What Lin Feng meant is that there was no choice. He was fighting Duan Han regardless of who stood in his way. Lin Feng had an evil smile on his face and was staring at Duan Han. He then said in an ice-cold tone, "Duan Han, back in the days, at the Yun Hai sect, you considered everyone beneath your attention, but our battle was not allowed an end. You have to treat a man as he treated you. Today, we finish our battle." When Lin Feng finished talking, he started walking forward. That battle could happen because of a single justifiable excuse. It wasn't about wanting to battle. It was about finishing their unfinished battle. In the world of cultivation, Lin Feng was always moving closer to his goal of soaring in the clouds. "Try if you dare," shouted Duan Tian Lang furiously. He then started walking forward and a deadly chi emerged from his body. Lin Feng surprisingly wanted to kill Duan Han, his son. How could Duan Tian Lang accept that? "Stop!" shouted a furious Meng Qing. Ice chi and force invaded the atmosphere. Meng Qing took a few steps and landed in front of Duan Tian Lang. Duan Tian Lang also had the strength of the Xuan Qi layer. If Lin Feng wanted to kill Duan Han, how could he resist to Duan Tian Lang? Obviously, Meng Qing had to get involved. Lin Feng didn't need to say anything. That was obvious. "Catcha!" Even more ice appeared in the atmosphere. Duan Tian Lang was surprised. His facial expression was hideous. An incredible quantity of sword energy emerged from his body. Duan Tian Lang had a blood spirit and had awakened the strength within his blood, but that strength was too weak, therefore, he was also using his sword spirit. Duan Han also had a sword spirit, dual spirit. A long sword appeared which pointed towards the sky. His sword spirit and the sword in his hand seemed to be in perfect symbiosis, both as sharp as the other. Besides, at that moment, Lin Feng was slowly walking towards Duan Han. Each and every step that Lin Feng took made Duan Han's heartbeat grew faster. Duan Han didn't stop retreating backwards. Back in the past, at the Yun Hai sect, you were high-spirited, vigorous, and daring. Today, you are as scared a cowardly mutt who keeps on flinching, you don't even dare to fight. Lin Feng said these words jokingly. He wasn't in a hurry to kill Duan Han. He was convinced that Duan Tian Lang would also remember Meng Qing and her strength, allowing him to see his son, Duan Han, get killed without being able to do anything in retaliation. Lin Feng wanted to make Duan Tian Lang understand that, back in the days, he had the power to bully Lin Feng, but now, Lin Feng could slowly kill his son right in front of him, and he would not be able to lift a finger. He would show him how cruel he could truly be and make his son suffer in his place. When the people saw Lin Feng slowly walking towards Duan Han, their hearts also started beating faster. When Duan Wuya saw that Lin Feng wanted to kill Duan Han, an offspring of the Duan family, he surprisingly didn't try to block him, which meant that he tacitly agreed. Die! Lin Feng was getting nearer and nearer. Duan Tian Lang shouted loudly while his sword slashed through the atmosphere. An endless quantity of sword chi appeared and slashed through the world of ice. The sound of sword energy clashing against ice energy filled the air. "Ice diamond," said Meng Qing in a low voice. She waved her hand and an ice crystal appeared and froze Duan Tian Lang's sword entirely. Lin Feng was very near to Duan Han. A sharp and deadly energy completely enveloped Duan Han's body. It was filled with deadly chi. Under that deadly energy, Duan Han didn't even have the courage to resist. Lin Feng's aura of a death god sufficed to make him tremble in fear. Could it be that you are afraid now? When you were at the top of the cliff face, you were cold-bloodedly watching the Yun Hai sect members get slaughtered. You were feeling comfortable and satisfied, right? When you and your father got a few 100,000 soldiers killed, didn't you have the feeling that your plan was a great success? Lin Feng's voice sounded evil, and its coldness invaded Duan Han's heart. "Erg!" Duan Tian Lang shouted like an animal, abandoned his sword, and jumped towards Duan Han. "Frozen heart!" said Meng Qing in a low voice. Duan Tian Lang started shaking violently. He had the feeling that his heart was being completely frozen. Blood started flowing from his mouth. But Duan Tian Lang didn't pay attention to that. All that mattered to him was his son. His son couldn't die. "Oh, you came?" said Lin Feng with an ice-cold smile on the corner of his mouth. Suddenly, his silhouette disappeared. He was absorbed into the void of darkness. "Die," said a voice coming from the void. The crowd saw in the middle of that emptiness a cross appeared. That cross was resplendent and dazzling to the eyes. "S-H-H-H-H." The cross turned into a sanguinary sword. On Duan Han's neck there was a small cross, a small bloody cross. Duan Tian Lang stopped moving. His mouth was wide open. He was just feeling infinitely cold as he was blankly staring at his son, Duan Han, who slightly lifted his head to look at his father. Duan Tian Lang could see the cross-shaped mark on his neck and the blood endlessly gushing out from it. "Duan Han!" shouted Duan Tian Lang with a husky voice. He was shaking from head to toe. He grabbed his son and hugged him tightly. He saw his son's lips, which were moving, but he couldn't speak a word as he was drowning in his own blood. At that moment, his son collapsed in his arms. "Cough, cough!" Duan Tian Lang coughed and blood was forced out of his mouth. He looked deathly pale. His son was dead. He had been killed by Lin Feng and died in his arms. At the moment when he had almost reached his son, Lin Feng forced him to watch his son drown in his own blood. Invisible like a shadow, invisible and silent, that was the deadly cross shadow. "It hurts, doesn't it, Duan Tian Lang? Back then at the Yun Hai sect, when you slaughtered all those people, or after when you set a trap for a few 100,000 soldiers, you were not thinking about their friends and their families. You also didn't think about the pain that they would have to go through," said Lin Feng, who was standing behind Duan Tian Lang watching the scene. "Lin Feng!" furiously shouted Duan Tian Lang while releasing a deadly energy. "You don't need to shout. I know that you wish you could hack me into a million pieces. I understand your hatred because I feel that hatred inside me, and my hatred is much more terrifying than yours," said Lin Feng, sounding calm. He then continued, "Now it is between you and me. If you have an opportunity to kill me, feel free to try. Because if someday I have the opportunity to kill you, I will unleash my hatred and show you no mercy." While talking, Lin Feng turned around, his silhouette flickered, and he moved back to his original position. Immediately after, he said to Duan Wuya, "Your Highness, I am now taking my leave." Duan Wuya slightly nodded and said, "Lin Feng, I will be waiting for your return in the lovesick forest by the lake." Lin Feng muttered something to himself, but immediately after nodded and said, "All right." Lin Feng then waved. Those who were wearing bronze masks, even though their faces were covered, all had an aura of satisfaction. They looked inspired and enthusiastic. Many of them used to be Yun Hai sect disciples. Duan Tian Lang and Duan Han had annihilated the Yun Hai sect, which was why they had the slave marks carved into their faces. Duan Tian Lang and Duan Han were their sworn enemies. When they saw Lin Feng kill Duan Han and force Duan Tian Lang into such a situation, how could they not feel satisfied? They coldly glanced at Duan Tian Lang, then turned around and followed Lin Feng. Then altogether, they galloped away. Duan Tian Lang was showing no side of indignation or anger. He didn't do anything irrational. Meng Qing had already badly injured him. While Meng Qing was there, it was impossible for him to kill Lin Feng. If he attacked Lin Feng, Meng Qing would continue to inflict injuries. Who was that beautiful girl whose face was covered with a fine veil, and why was she following Lin Feng? She was extremely strong. "Lin Feng, if I, Duan Tian Lang, don't kill you, my life will not be worth living," said Duan Tian Lang while feeling that his son's skin was growing colder and more lifeless. He uttered a long and mournful cry. A strong wind blew over the area. Everybody was feeling cold. They were looking at the silhouettes slowly disappearing. They all understood that Zhu Yue had an incredible young genius. He had confined enemy troops in a city, set it on fire, and killed hundreds of thousands of them. He had galloped over an endless distance, saved the princess and brought her back alive. He had killed an officer of the Imperial City. He had saved Liu Kanglan, who was about to get executed by Duan Tian Lang. He had become a marquis and possessed a city, and then he killed Duan Han in front of his father's eyes. Lin Feng's name was definitely going to be famous in the entire country. Outside of the Imperial City, the army had gathered. At that moment, the city gate was open. A group of armored horses passed through it. Immediately, the crowd looked towards the gate. Lin Feng looked at the whole crowd. He was a bit surprised. He looked startled and moved forward. Besides, 3 silhouettes rushed out to welcome him. These 3 people were precisely Officer Ren Qing Quang, officer of the middle troops, Officer Feng Yu Han, officer of the left troops, and Officer Lei Qing Tian, officer of the right troops. "Is Uncle Liu in charge of all these troops now?" asked Lin Feng to the 3 officers. At that moment, outside of the city, all the soldiers were wearing red armor, riding Kai Zai armored horses. They were all Kai Zai troops. Besides, the other officers were not leading them. Nobody said anything. At that moment, the troops looked towards Lin Feng and all jumped down from their horses and then all knelt down. "We, the Kai Zai troops, welcome our new officer," said the troops in unison, extremely loudly, making the ground shake. That drew the attention of many people, even of some who were far away. Lin Feng was astonished as well. "Everyone stand up. What on earth are you doing?" said Lin Feng. "Lin Feng." Ren Qing Quang galloped towards Lin Feng and then said, "Lin Feng, the general, dismissed these troops." "Dismissed the troops?" asked Lin Feng, a bit surprised. What was Liu Kanglan doing? But apart from a small minority of them who wanted to follow the general, everybody refused to leave. He only brought those troops who would only follow him back to Duan Ren City, leaving us behind to wait for you. "Wait for me." "Indeed, wait for you," said Ren Qing Quang in a calm and solemn way. He then slowly said, "Lin Feng, the general, said there was no point staying in Duan Ren City because if Mo Yue tried to attack again, there would be no force left to resist them. Therefore, the general told the whole army to stay here. Lin Feng, now, you are a marquis. You are the officer of the Kai Zai troops, and since you own the fief of Yangzhou City, you can have your own personal army. The general told us to stay with you and pledge our loyalty to you rather than the country of Zhu Yue. As your personal army, we can go to Yangzhou City, your fief. From now on, the Kai Zai army will listen to your orders as well as ours." Ren Qing Quang's words made Lin Feng's heart pound. Liu Kanglan was giving the elite troops of Zhu Yue, the Kai Zai army, as well as its 3 officers, to him as his own private army. In any case, he was now a marquis. He had the space to accommodate his own personal army in Yangzhou City. Then the Yun Hai sect. "Sigh." Lin Feng raised his head to the sky and took a deep breath. He looked at Ren Qing Kuang and said, "I agree."